Chapter 16:16. After making up his mind to take a risk, Xiaochen stopped thinking about anything else. Xiaochen quickly collected the golden life juice source. His surroundings did not change much. The group of black star sawtooth sharks seemed to have gone crazy, surrounding the tree of life and roaring continuously. As if his stamina couldn't be depleted at all, the clan head in the lead looked extremely anxious. It could sense that the tree of life's aura was weakening bit by bit, and it couldn't help but grow even more anxious. Since ancient times, the tree of life had been a godlike existence to their tribe. If it were to suddenly collapse, it would be like how some humans lost their faith. The consequences would be unpredictable. There were several times that he wanted to pull the tree of life back, but out of respect for it, he didn't dare to touch it. He could only follow behind it. The script was similar to what Xiaochen expected. As more and more of the life juice source was absorbed, the life juice source disappeared. That gigantic tree of life slowly floated up from the bottom of the starry sea. When it finally emerged from the water, the group of black star sawtooth sharks also surfaced. The several hundred black star sawtooth sharks went berserk, creating huge waves on the starry sea. It looked like a terrifying storm. Xiaochen, who was in the tree, had already collected 1,000 kilograms of life juice source. However, when he looked at his surroundings, he could not bring himself to smile. In such a situation, the moment Xiaochen poked his head out, he would immediately be torn apart and eaten by this group of black star sawtooth sharks. There would be no second path for them to take if they were to die without leaving even their dregs. What should I do? The life juice source in the tree hole was no longer pure. Xiaochen stopped collecting it, his expression clearly troubled. In this kind of situation, he really had no idea at all. He couldn't show his head at all. He could only wait for the tree of life to die completely. Then he would see if these black star sawtooth sharks would leave. However, even if the tree died, this group of black star sawtooth sharks would probably not leave. They would think of a way to drag the tree back to their nest. Moreover, if the tree of life died and its bark's defenses weakened, the starry sea would corrode it, exposing him. No matter how he thought about it, the current situation did not seem optimistic. Suddenly, Xiaochen felt a disturbance. The life aura of the tree of life, which had been dropping all this time, suddenly stopped and started to slowly rise. This, Xiaochen quickly released his spiritual sense, and saw that the tree of life floating on the sea had tens of thousands of complicated roots and branches. Like tentacles, they all pierced into the body of the black star sawtooth shark chief, absorbing its flesh and blood to replenish itself. Surprisingly, the chief of the black star sawtooth shark tribe, an existence with heaven-defying strength, did not resist. This scene shocked Xiaochen for a moment. In the blink of an eye, he understood. These trees of life grew by relying on the prey that the black star sawtooth sharks brought. Relying on absorbing the flesh and blood of the chief of the sawtooth sharks to sustain his life. It made sense. However, this group of black star sawtooth sharks were normally savage and ferocious. Unexpectedly, they would go crazy for the so-called divine item. In Xiaochen's opinion, it was more or less not worth it. Of course, all of this wasn't the main point. The main point was that his current situation didn't look optimistic. Half a day later, the aura of the black star sawtooth shark chief had already weakened significantly. However, its aura still gave off waves of horrifying might. On the contrary, the tree of life had completely stabilized, and its life aura was rising bit by bit. Over the starry sea, a flat sea blue merchant ship traveled on the sea and arrived in this region. Black star sawtooth sharks. Heavens! A tribe of black star sawtooth sharks. Quickly go around. Go around. Several dozen figures appeared on the ship. None of them had low cultivations. With one glance, it was clear that they were not the ship's guards. However, with just one glance, they quickly hid in the ship. If it were a regular stormy land, they could barge their way through. However, there was a group of black star sawtooth sharks in there. They could only spend some time going around. Following that, some adventuring cultivators and ships passed by this turbulent sea region. When they saw the black star sawtooth sharks, they did not bother to look. Instead, they chose to stay far away. However, in this vast grave sea, clearly, not everyone feared the black star sawtooth sharks. There would always be experts. The sky turned dark. A boundless aura tore through the air and pushed back the countless waves under the tremendous aura. Translator, Zephyzi editor. Dioquin. As this aura descended, it forcefully suppressed the vast waves that the black star sawtooth sharks kicked up. Then this aura merged with the surface of the sea. Immediately no more waves appeared. The wind was calm, and no waves could be seen. The torrential rain stopped, and the vast sea could be seen clearly. Xiaochun, who was in the tree hole, felt slightly shocked. A late-stage major primal core expert. However, this late-stage major primal core expert was several times stronger than the elders of the Purple Sun City's 3 major sections. This puzzled Xiaochun somewhat. After thinking for a while, he understood. The Grave Sea's spiritual energy was very dense, and the space was of a higher level. The gravity there was also several times that of the outside world. Cultivators who grew up in such an environment were definitely stronger than those in the outside world. It was just like how the Sky Dome Realm's martial sages were like paper before the Kunlun Realm's martial sages. This also proved why an initial stage black-clad Arhut of the Black Lotus Church could kill the 3 elders without being able to retaliate, even though he was only an initial stage black-clad Arhut. Fluorescent tree? Master, is it really the legendary tree of life of the sea? However, doesn't this tree live at the bottom of the sea? A gray-haired old man in a long gray robe passed by this sea area with 2 young men. Without the obstruction of the storm and waves, they could easily see the gargantuan tree of life, surrounded by the black star sawtooth sharks. The gray-robed old man entered deep thought, finding it strange as well. He smiled and said, "This fortuitous encounter is really a coincidence. This tree of life has lived for at least 10,000 years. The life juice source in its body is probably of the highest quality. However, even if it is not of the highest quality, it is still rare to see." Life juice source? A clear light flashed in the eyes of the 2 youths. The person on the left seemed to have heard of life juice source before. "I heard that when one bathes in this life juice source, it can allow the body to undergo a rebirth. If it is a heaven-defying outstanding talent with a great desolate Aeon bloodline, it would be a tonic among tonics. Its effects would be several times greater." "That's right." The gray-robed old man smiled and said, "Although the 2 of you do not have a great desolate Aeon bloodline, this life juice source will still be of great benefit to you. Even to me, it will be extremely beneficial. If the 2 of you can have this life juice source, not to mention anything else, you will be able to achieve a physical body comparable to a primal core venerates within 2 years. Furthermore, the firmer your foundation, the greater your chances of breaking through. Your future accomplishments go without saying." Upon hearing this, the 2 youths appeared somewhat excited. The 2 of them were peak young essence cultivators. It was hard to say when they would reach the half-step primal core stage. With this life juice source, Xiaochun's future became bright. However, the gray-robed old man's next words immediately chilled the hearts of the 2. "However, it is just wishful thinking. The black star sawtooth shark in the middle is as strong as a cloud sea cultivator. The hundreds of black star sawtooth sharks around it are not easy to deal with, either." This fortuitous encounter was indeed extremely rare. However, it was still lacking. The 2 youths revealed extremely dispirited expressions. They even felt like dying. On the other hand, the gray-robed old man revealed a calm expression, very accepting of this. As one grew older, one had seen many things and experienced many things. The gray-robed old man had once seen an ancient sex Dao tool in a forbidden remnant. Many experts had rushed up and died in it. Sometimes many things were not necessarily yours just because you saw them. That's not right. Suddenly, the gray-robed old man's expression changed slightly. He focused his mental energy in his eyes and looked into the distance. Then, his gaze landed on the black star sawtooth shark chief. The gray-robed old man discovered that the roots of the tree of life were all stabbed into the black star sawtooth shark chief's body. So that's how it is. A dying tree of life and a cloud sea black star sawtooth shark, that only looks impressive. The gray-robed old man revealed a smile. Just as he was about to leave, he changed his mind. A look of excitement flashed in his eyes. "Master, what's wrong?" The 2 disciples noticed that something was wrong. The gray-robed old man smiled mysteriously. This fortuitous encounter might really be a fortuitous encounter. I'll send a message to inform my 2 junior brothers to come over. Chapter 16-17. Inside the tree hole, Xiaochen entered deep thought. After listening to the old man's words, Xiaochen tried to think of a countermeasure. This was an opportunity. However, if he did not grasp it well, he would still end up the same. However, one would die in the mouths of the black star sawtooth sharks, and the other would die in the hands of a sect expert. Actually, there was no difference. The latter might be more miserable, but the former would at least give him a quick death. Xiaochen waited and saw how the old man dealt with this group of black star sawtooth sharks first. Even if the black star sawtooth shark chief only looked impressive, the hundreds of black star sawtooth sharks would not be easy to deal with. Every mature black star sawtooth shark was as strong as an early-stage major primal core realm cultivator. Some were even late-stage major primal core realm cultivators. They were not much weaker than the gray-clad old man. Xiaochen noticed that this old man and 2 youths were not on a ship. Instead, they were on an oceanic ferocious beast. Based on the appearance of that ferocious beast, it seemed to be a tortoise beast similar to the black tortoise. Clearly, it had been tamed. For hours later, 2 red dots appeared in the sky. When the red dots got closer, Xiaochen discovered that they were 2 gigantic seabirds with ferocious gazes. Upon seeing this scene, Xiaochen, who was in the tree hole, felt slightly shocked. The sect that the gray-clad old man came from should have a special method to tame ferocious beasts, or a sect that focused on taming ferocious beasts. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 ferocious seabirds stopped on the surface of the sea. As they flapped their wings, they instantly kicked up 1-kilometer-tall waves. A strong wind blew on the surface of the sea, giving off a strange roar. Xiaochen did not recognize these seabirds. They had hook-like claws that flickered with a cold light. Their wings were like sharp scimitars. When they spread their wings, they were like unsheathed blades. The feathers on their bodies were like steel, giving off a metallic luster. Senior brother, what is so urgent that the 2 of us brought the 2 remaining cold steel eagles of the sect over? We put in a lot of effort to convince the sect master. On the seabird, there were 2 old men dressed in similar clothes to the old man, but they seemed to be slightly younger, who spoke. The gray-clad old man smiled and spread out his aura again. Then, he forcefully quelled the storm caused by the black star sawtooth sharks. Black star sawtooth sharks. That is, fluorescent tree, the ocean tree of life. The eyes of the 2 old men on the cold steel eagles immediately lit up. They instantly understood what the gray-clad old man meant. The gigantic tree of life was thousands of meters long, floating above the sea. Xiaochen hid very well in the insignificant tree hole. As Xiaochen looked at the 2 cold steel eagles, he felt somewhat doubtful. Could 2 cold steel eagles deal with a group of black star sawtooth sharks? However, in the next moment his doubts were solved. He now knew that the seabirds that could fly in the starry sea were all overlords of the sea. The black star sawtooth shark was so strong that regular late-stage major primal core venerates would not be willing to touch it. But in this world, there would always be a natural enemy. That was right. This was the infamous ferocious beast of the grave sea, the cold steel eagle. Its feathers were as sharp as cold steel, and its body was like steel. It did not fear the corrosion of the starry sea. One of its tail feathers was said to be invaluable, hard to find. The 2 old men jumped onto the back of the tortoise beast and played a small flute. The melodious and pleasing flute music immediately spread in all directions, echoing over the sea, sounding exceptionally pleasing to the ear. When the flute music rang out, the 2 cold steel eagles immediately entered a state of combat. The cold steel eagles spread their wings and attacked. Every time the cold steel eagles landed, their claws would leave 6 bloody and miserable wounds on the black star sawtooth shark's body. The cold steel eagle's sharp metal beaks could easily peck through the black star sawtooth shark's skin. More importantly, these cold steel eagles were ice-attributed. When their wounds froze, they could not recover. The cold steel eagles moved as fast as lightning. The black star sawtooth sharks could not catch them at all. Soon, the black star sawtooth sharks howled miserably. Blood quickly dyed the seawater red, and a heavy baleful aura spread in the air. As for the chief of the black star sawtooth sharks, which could pose the greatest threat to the cold steel eagles, it was on its last breath. The tree of life had already sucked away all of its life force, leaving only an empty shell. This was simply a tragedy. The strong black star sawtooth sharks could not retaliate at all, and they all dove into the water. Even so, the black star sawtooth sharks could not truly escape. These cold steel eagles had the ability to dive into the water temporarily. The two cold steel eagles worked together to grab a black star sawtooth shark into the air. The cold steel eagles plunged their metal hooks deep into its flesh and bones. Then, the two cold steel eagles flew to the side, and a bloody scene appeared. The black star sawtooth shark was torn apart on the spot, and its blood splattered into the air. This cruel scene was something that even Xiao Chun could not bear to watch. The remaining black star sawtooth sharks no longer dared to show themselves, all diving into the seawater. Suddenly, the flute music rose in pitch. The two cold steel eagles folded their wings, and their feathers shot into the water, carrying cold chi. Blood spread out, and waves roared at the bottom of the sea. The black star sawtooth shark tribe was utterly terrified, and they fled frantically. The two cold steel eagles achieved a complete victory. After personally witnessing this scene, Xiao Chun understood something. In the future, if he saw any seabirds that could fly in the starry sea, he would have to make a detour. These were the natural overlords of the sea, the starry heavens eagles. The tortoise beast carried the 5 people in the seawater, smiling as it swam towards the huge sea. Xiao Chun, who was in the tree hole, immediately fell into danger. Originally, Xiao Chun was thinking of taking advantage of the chaos to escape while the other party fought the black star sawtooth sharks. However, the earlier battle was one-sided. There was no chance at all. If the other party knew that Xiao Chun emptied out the life source in the tree, he would not be able to survive even if he had 9 lives. The 5 people on the tortoise beast chatted and laughed. Xiao Chun, who was in the tree hole, could even hear some of their conversation. 10 steps, 9 steps, 8 steps. When the tortoise beast was only 5 steps away from the tree of life, Xiao Chun braced himself and came out of the tree hole. He revealed a joyful smile as though he had been pardoned. He performed a cupped fist salute and said excitedly, "Junior Xiao Chun thanks seniors for saving my life." Whoosh! The sudden appearance of Xiao Chun startled the 5. Who could have thought that there would be someone among the hundreds of black star sawtooth sharks? However, when the gray-clad old man saw that Xiao Chun was just a half-step primal core cultivator, he immediately revealed a cold smile. "Speak. Why are you in this fluorescent tree?" The gray-clad old man demanded softly as he looked coldly at Xiao Chun, radiating might without being angry. Xiao Chun calmed himself and explained unhurriedly. "This junior's ship capsized due to the wind and waves. Everyone got separated. I was lucky and ran into this strange tree. However, the black star sawtooth sharks soon surrounded me. Fortunately, seniors made a move and saved me." The gray-clad old man smiled and said, "Your explanation is reasonable and not flustered. You did not dodge my gaze either. It does not look like you are lying. However, do you think that I will believe you?" "I will not." When Xiao Chun heard this, he smiled helplessly. The gray-clad old man was an experienced veteran. It would be impossible for Xiao Chun to use his acting skills to bluff his way out of this. However, it was good that Xiao Chun took the initiative to come out. If he had turned to flee earlier, he would have died at the hands of the 3 late-stage major primal core venerates. When the gray-clad old man saw Xiao Chun's calm appearance, he smiled and said, "Based on your air, you are not a bad person. My beast governing sect is a righteous sect and will not kill people randomly. Hand over your storage ring, and come back with us to the School of Imperial Beasts. After we investigate your identity, we will naturally let you live if you are not someone of the evil path." The gray-clad old man's words were flawless. He handled the situation very well. After living for so long, the gray-clad old man knew that some people could not be killed. He trusted his judgment. This white-clad youth before him had an extraordinary air, and did not panic in the face of danger. He was definitely not an ordinary person. If the gray-clad old man could avoid killing, it would be best not to do so. By taking away the other party's storage ring, he would already be able to maximize his benefits. If the other party's seniors wanted to blame him, Xiao Chun would be able to advance or retreat freely, preventing the other party from finding an excuse to make things difficult for him. "Sorry, this junior cannot accept this condition. Xiaochen immediately rejected. Then, he gently pushed off with his feet and soared into the air. As the three major primal core venerates watched Xiaochen leave, they shook their heads slightly, revealing mocking expressions on their faces. Despite being in the Starry Sea and having two cold steel eagles by his side, he still dared to flee into the air. That was true. He was very cool. When the flute music rang out, the two cold steel eagles raised their heads slightly, locking their cold eyes on Xiaochen. Then, they cried out and spread their wings to take flight. The others climbed up the tree of life and no longer looked at Xiaochen. He was already a dead man. Chapter 16:18. This trip, from collecting the life juice source to now, had been full of twists and turns. However, he did not expect that in the end he would still end up like this. He was truly somewhat unwilling. Little Goldie. Compared to torturing the black star sawtooth shark, this scene looked even more miserable. It was like two ferocious tigers toying with a lamb. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Don't be careless. Be careful not to capsize in a simple task. It was not in vain that he had persevered until now. In life, there were many things that seemed impossible, but after persevering to the end, one would realize that there was still a way out. After 100 moves, dozens of saber wounds appeared on Xiaochen's body, and blood oozed out of them. Yes, if Xiaochen could successfully kill this sawtooth shark, not to mention the life juice source, just the sawtooth shark's corpse would be a huge windfall. He had long since become a ghost under the claws of the two cold steel eagles. Whoosh! For the first time, the two cold steel eagles chasing Xiaochen paused for a moment. They spread their wings and glided, doing their best to look into the distance. Two sonic booms came from behind him. Those were the tail feathers of the cold steel eagles. They emitted a biting cold chi as they whizzed over. Noticing this detail, Xiaochen's pupils constricted. He focused his gaze and seemed to have comprehended something. However, they did not dare to take the risk of flying over the water, so they let Xiaochen and Little Yellow Feather come over to support Xiaochen first. This white-robed bladesman has a strong will. To think that he is still struggling. Kacha. The two cold steel eagles spread their wings. Their sharp wings were like giant blades. In the seawater, Xiaochen used his body as a saber, and the two huge sabers crisscrossed and weaved nimbly. Under such circumstances, he would not even have the time to use his trump cards. It was possible that he would be cut in half by one of the cold steel eagles before he could even use any of his trump cards. However, in this vast starry sea, Xiaochen did not know where the tree of life had taken him. The chances of the black cutlass rushing over were slim. When Xiaochen landed on the surface of the sea, he instantly caught up. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he drew his lunar shadow saber. He knew that there was always a way out. Not even for a moment. Immediately, Xiaochen felt the gravity disappear, and all sorts of discomfort disappeared. Little Yellow Feather was like an insulator. The gravity in the starry sea was 10 times that of the outside world. Xiaochen's speed and agility were restricted. What kind of bird is this? I have never seen it before. However, it can actually fly freely in the starry sea. Far away, the two cold steel eagles and Xiaochen vanished from the sight of the gray-clad old man and the others. Thank you, little guy. Hurry up and go back. Xiaochen heaved a sigh of relief. Seizing this opportunity, he hurriedly healed the various injuries on his body, restoring his physical strength and quintessential essence. If there were only one cold steel eagle, Xiaochen would not be in such a sorry state. Xiao Suo's captain medallion was connected to the black cutlass. Xiao Suo's group could use the pirate ship to sense his general location. As for the cold steel eagle's feathers, they were like steel. Only a few scars were left behind, and they were quickly recovering. Never give up. No one knew what would happen until the very last moment. The 3 elders of the School of Imperial Beasts flew up at the same time, and charged at the chief of the sawtooth sharks. This was not a miracle. It was just a possibility brought about by persistence. That was all. The saber and the wings of the 2 cold steel eagles exchanged 100 moves in an instant. It gave off a clear and melodious clanging sound, like 2 weapons clashing against each other. The flute music suddenly stopped. The 2 old men behind said, "Senior brother, we are already out of range." The flute music can no longer control the cold steel eagles. But that white-robed youth seems to still have one breath left, and is still holding on. If not for the high-grade life juice source, which allowed Xiao Chen's physical body to undergo a complete transformation and his physique to be reborn, his combat prowess would have increased significantly. However, there was no time for Xiao Chen to think too much. The two cold steel eagles charged over again. Its body was very nimble in the grave sea, where the gravity was 10 times that of the outside world. It was like it was born here. After Xiao Chen's injuries appeared, they continued to worsen. The recovery ability of the blue dragon bloodline was very strong. However, it could not withstand this non-stop chase and fight, without any time to rest. Who knew? Little Yellow Feather did not listen to the old man. It continued to remain in the air, glaring at the two cold steel eagles. The gray-clad old man said with a grave expression, "Naturally, he is not as strong as the black star sawtooth shark. However, his saber techniques are indeed excellent. This youth is not simple." With such an obstruction, the cold steel eagles caught up to Xiao Chen, who had been in the lead. Ao Jiao's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind, stunning him. The two cold steel eagles crisscrossed, looking like complicated and sharp scissors. They formed a dazzling saber light that looked like it would envelop Xiao Chen soon. While the cold steel eagles hesitated, Xiao Chen quickly ran with all his might. Then, he somersaulted in the air and landed on Little Yellow Feather. Before the cold steel eagles could catch their breath, the two cold steel eagles followed Xiao Chen amid the flute music. Just as Xiao Chen was about to despair, a golden figure suddenly appeared in the sky in front. The current situation was not optimistic. Without a miracle, death was only a matter of time. The gray-clad old man shook his head. Then he looked around and fixed his gaze on the black star sawtooth shark chief at the roots of the tree of life. "Junior brothers, let's attack together and help it end this." Xiao Chen prayed that the Black Cutlass pirate ship was not too far away, and could rush over to provide reinforcements. By relying on the Yazi beast demon soul, he should have a chance to escape. Whoosh! Whoosh! Xiao Chen recalled that Little Yellow Feather was on the Black Cutlass pirate ship. In that case, the Black Cutlass pirate ship should be nearby. Left without a choice, Xiao Chen executed the fish dragon tail whip. In an instant, the fish turned into a dragon, materializing the stance of a blue dragon emerging from the sea. To the cold steel eagles, that figure was practically insignificant. Xiao Chen could see Huan Shui getting chopped into countless pieces by the saber. Xiao Chen did not believe in miracles. He only believed in himself. Even if he persisted until the end and still ended up dead, he would still use his full power. Splash! Xiao Chen dove into the water, narrowly dodging the two tail feathers containing boundless killing intent. From the very start, the two cold steel eagles had chased Xiao Chen to the point of suffocation. As the gray-clad old man's two junior brothers said, Xiao Chen was indeed on his last breath. Or rather, he had been on his last breath for a long time. Splash! Water splashed everywhere. The two cold steel eagles did not hesitate to follow Xiao Chen into the water. Splash! Xiao Chen, who had stored up energy, soared out of the sea, reaching several kilometers high. After seeing the cold steel eagles torture the black star sawtooth shark tribe, Xiao Chen no longer had any desire to fight. He could only do one thing: run. Are you kidding me? Any one of these two cold steel eagles is a major primal core cultivator. When the two work together, their combat prowess will increase explosively. Never mind. There is no need to care about him. Even if I do not control him, it is only a matter of time before the two cold steel eagles kill him. Xiao Chen revealed an expression of joy, and could not help laughing softly. Furthermore, the tyrant of the sea, the cold steel eagles, lived in the starry sea. They were naturally agile and as fast as lightning. Dang! 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 When the two cold steel eagles saw Little Yellow Feather appear, they felt an innate fear. At the same time, doubts appeared in their minds. The moment Xiao Chen's figure moved, he knew that he could not escape this calamity. Z. When the tail feathers entered the water, cold chi quickly spread out on the surface of the seawater, before turning into a thin layer of ice. Relying on the blue dragon war body's strong physical body, and the advantage of the fish dragon arts movement technique, Xiao Chen retreated as he fought. Little Yellow Feather was like a golden flaming meteor. Its speed was even faster than the two cold steel eagles. The aura of a divine beast swept toward Qin Nan along with a scorching heat wave. A sorrowful scene immediately appeared in the vast sea. The two gargantuan cold steel eagles and Xiaochen, who was several times smaller than them, chased each other in an intense battle. Xiaochen, Little Yellow Feather said that it wanted to help you vent your anger and teach these two silly birds a lesson. I really did not raise you for so many years in vain. The two young disciples were slightly startled, showing confused expressions. Ignoring the influence of the starry sea's gravity, the two cold steel eagles instantly charged over, stabbing at Xiaochen's back as melodious flute music rang out. What I find strange is why he is not dead yet. Could it be that he is even stronger than the black star sawtooth shark? When the 5 people on the Tree of Life saw the scene in the distance, they were shocked as well, temporarily forgetting about their proper business. Chapter 16-19. Sweat trickled down Xiaochen's forehead. He felt that the sunlight was ridiculously hot, so he raised his head and looked at the sun in the sky. He did not remember Little Yellow Feather being so capable in the past. Xiaochen felt astonished in his heart. Little Yellow Feather's growth had surpassed his expectations without anyone noticing. Immediately, the sound waves turned into a line extending forward, reaching the ears of the cold steel eagles that were already far away. Damn it! That white-clad youth took all the life juice source. Why does the sun feel so strange today? As the golden light shone, Little Yellow Feather's body blazed with a fierce flame. This was the first time Xiaochen saw Little Yellow Feather enter its combat state since its rebirth. That's not right. This is just ordinary tree resin. In the entire battle, Little Yellow Feather had only done one thing: get beaten up. The two cold steel eagles looked at Xiaochen begrudgingly, and nodded their heads 3 times. Then they spread their wings and lowered their heads, crouching at Xiaochen's feet. After that, Xiaochen was shocked to discover that after Little Yellow Feather entered its combat state, the two cold steel eagles actually flapped their wings and retreated. A drop of water fell into the sea, and the surface of the sea became like cotton candy, sinking deeply. In the next moment, the seawater rebounded, kicking up a huge wave. Xiaochen cautiously pushed off with his feet, and landed before the two cold steel eagles. They looked like 2 small buildings standing in front of him. However, aside from that, there was nothing else. Everything was turbid tree resin. Master, there is a tree hole here. Xiaochen carefully opened his eyes and saw the sun in the sky. This region was incredibly bright, and the sunlight that fell was exceptionally piercing. Whoosh! However, everything had a weakness. Little Yellow Feather was a golden crow holy beast, born in the sun. It was born as a fire holy beast. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was the ancestor of playing with fire. Xiaochen had no choice but to leave this place and watch from afar. Suddenly, 2 mournful cries rang out in the air. Then Little Yellow Feather clawed the air, and kicked one of the cold steel eagles into the sea not far from Xiaochen. A turbid liquid immediately flowed out. The 3 old men frowned at the same time. Fortunately, his injuries weren't too serious. After circulating his energy, he was able to recover. It was this layer of ice that made the cold steel eagle's feathers as sharp, hard, and cold as profound artifacts. At this point, Xiaochen truly believed Little Yellow Feather's words. He could not help but reveal a smile. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Little Yellow Feather suddenly let out a loud roar. The sunlight fell like snowflakes, swishing down continuously. Uchi! Little Yellow Feather swooped down and landed on the head of one of the cold steel eagles. Returning to the size of a palm, Zhang Xian stepped on the other party proudly. The other side. Forget it, I will go back and explain to the sect leader. This time, I will take full responsibility. They looked more like 2 children who had done something wrong. Jia. Drops of water suddenly appeared on the bodies of the 2 cold steel eagles, and fell into the sea. Xiaochen's eyes narrowed, and a light flashed through his eyes as he came to a sudden realization. Little Yellow Feather spread its wings, and the flames on the sea turned into beams of light that entered its body. The might of a holy beast spread out, scaring the 2 cold steel eagles into trembling, not daring to get up. Everything in the world really countered each other. Who could have thought that the insufferably arrogant cold steel eagles that chased him all over the world would be subdued by little Yellow Feather? Senior brother, there's no rush. The two of us will get the cold steel eagles to bring his corpse over. Before Xiaochen could think too much, little Yellow Feather shook him off. Xiaochen was in disbelief. He asked doubtfully, really? A layer of ice covered the surface of the cold steel eagle's feathers. This was why Xiaochen's saber had only left a few shallow marks on them. The gray-clad old man's expression changed, looking very interesting. Ha! Xiaochen, little Yellow Feather said that this is its new underling. Ha ha ha. Xiaochen, little Yellow Feather said that this is its new underling. You are its big brother, which means that you are the big brother of the cold steel eagles. Xiaochen squinted, feeling a piercing heat wave spreading out uncontrollably. As for the cold steel eagles, they were not injured at all. The two youths at the back immediately said happily when they discovered something. Of course, Xiaochen would not really kick the two cold steel eagles. He smiled and said, "Little Yellow Feather, let them go then." Whoosh! The gray-clad old man's figure flashed, and he arrived before the two. The aura of the life juice source lingered in the tree hole. Just at this moment, the previously huge black star sawtooth shark chief sank to the bottom of the sea, leaving behind only a huge skeleton. The well-trained cold steel eagles became restless. Xiaochen's expression changed slightly, feeling that something was wrong. What is this? It is extremely turbid. Aside from a wooden fragrance, there is no aura at all. When Xiaochen saw this, he could not help but laugh. Then he pushed off the ground and prepared to walk over. It seemed to be saying, "One for each of us. Let's show off a little." Under little Yellow Feather's deliberate control, the surrounding temperature rose continuously, making the two cold steel eagles feel very uncomfortable. The three old men worked together to kill the black star sawtooth shark chief, which was already on its last breath. The gray-clad old man thought for a while and figured out the cause and effect. Then he flew into a rage. Little Yellow Feather patted its chest. Then it used its wings to knock on the cold steel eagles' heads 3 times. The surface of the seawater slowly boiled, and steam suddenly rose up. The feathers on the cold steel eagles' bodies gave off a flickering golden light. However, that was not the light of feathers but the light of burning flames. Pussy eye. It's ice. A fierce fire immediately blazed on the surface of the sea, covering the surrounding 50 kilometers. The gray-clad old man felt mocked. This time he was in deep trouble. Then the gray-clad old man landed excitedly on the tree of life and took out a sword. Then he narrowed his eyes, and the sword infused with veritable essence energy stabbed into the tree. The flute music grew increasingly urgent, and the two old men's expressions turned increasingly unsightly. After a long time, the cold steel eagles still did not respond. After a nirvanic rebirth, they can directly use the energy of the sun? After a long time, the gray-clad old man sighed helplessly. He recalled the smile on Xiaochen's face when he came out. The battle was much easier than Xiaochen imagined. The cold steel eagles seemed to have met their nemesis, completely suppressed by little Yellow Feather, who was much weaker than them. What a strong heat wave! Xiaochen's skin felt scarily hot. Even with his physical body, he could not endure the fiery heat wave from little Yellow Feather's body. Who knew little Yellow Feather chirped at Xiaochen and pointed at the other cold steel eagle with its wings. Then it flapped its wings repeatedly, raising its head proudly. A shocking scene appeared in the air. 2 cold steel eagles. The 2 cold steel eagles were chased by the much smaller golden crow in the air. Then little Yellow Feather kicked the other cold steel eagle down and landed on the first one. It landed on the body of the first one, and just as it got up, it fell down again. The 2 cold steel eagles lowered their heads, no longer as ferocious and tyrannical as when they chased after Xiaochen or killed the black star sawtooth shark. This amused Ao Jiao, causing her to laugh endlessly. Just like this, the 2 cold steel eagles carried Xiaochen and little Yellow Feather far away, meeting up with the Black Cutlass pirate ship that was rushing over. The 2 cold steel eagles immediately turned obedient, no longer bothering with the flute music. Although the cold steel eagles looked ordinary, water droplets with startling energy continuously fell from their bodies. Loud rumbles resounded, and huge waves surged endlessly on the surface of the sea. One of them had an extremely unsightly expression as he said, "Senior brother, the cold steel eagles are out of control." An old man bent down, tapped a drop, and said after carefully examining it, "Little yellow feather on the cold steel eagle's head flapped its wings like it was waving its fingers. Then it opened its beak and chirped non-stop." Without paying attention, Xiaochen closed his eyes in pain, feeling like he had been burned by a flame. Clearly, this was not ordinary ice. When ordinary ice melted into water, how could it bring out such might? Whoosh! Pa! As the flames burned on the surface of the sea, the cold steel eagle cried out in pain, sounding very miserable. "Hee, it's done. Little yellow feather wants you to go and kick these two silly birds." Ao Jiao's relaxed laughter rang out in Xiaochen's mind. The two junior brothers immediately took out their flutes and started playing. Gulp. Chapter 16:20. 1 hour later, Xiaochen saw the Black Cutlass pirate ship rushing over from the Cold Steel Eagle. Xiao Sua and the others stood at the bow of the ship. When they saw the two Cold Steel Eagles flying over, they all paled in fright. The Cold Steel Eagles were a bona fide tyrant of the sea. Just as the group was about to turn around, they discovered something off. Someone on the Cold Steel Eagle waved at them. "It's the captain, Big Brother Xiaochen." Fei exclaimed joyfully after she saw clearly with her sharp eyes. Xiao Sua rubbed his eyes and said in disbelief, "Damn, it's really him. How did he subdue two Cold Steel Eagles when he was collecting life juice source?" When Xiaochen landed on the pirate ship, he quickly ordered Xiao Sua to turn around. By now, the beast governing sex people should have already discovered something wrong. After suffering such a great loss, he had to be careful if he ran into them in the future. Half a day later, the beast governing sex people still had not found them. Xiaochen heaved a sigh of relief. He had managed to avoid this calamity. "Captain, the pirate ship has been at the bottom of the sea for too long. Many parts are severely corroded. Some parts are even damaged. Its speed, defense, and performance are not in their best condition." Xiao Sua came over and reported to Xiaochen on the ship's current condition. That made sense. A school of black star sawtooth sharks dragged the ship around the bottom of the sea. Even with the protection of formations, it would be hard to avoid damage. "Is there no way to repair it?" Xiaochen asked when he raised his head. Logically speaking, the ship would definitely have a specialized mechanic. Furthermore, the crew members had a deep understanding of the ship's structure and a certain degree of repairability. "It is a simple problem. We can make do with it. However, we are all amateurs when it comes to certain things. The workmanship of the pirate ship is very complicated. It involves formations, refining structural principles, metal theory, and many other things." Xiao Sua smiled bitterly and shook his head as he explained. Xiaochen now understood. He had indeed oversimplified things. Xiao Sua suggested, "We need to make a trip to the Pirate Alliance or some large port to find specialized people to repair it. That's all we can do." The journey was delayed again. Xiaochen felt helpless and sighed softly. The main purpose of this trip was to avoid the pursuit of the Black Lotus Church and go to the sect where Yi Zifeng was. The journey was extremely long. Let's put this topic aside for now. Xiao Sua, distribute 50 kilograms of life juice source to everyone. Xiaochen took out 50 kilograms of silver life juice source and handed it to Xiao Sua for him to distribute to the many crew members on the warship. Life juice source. What a pure life juice source. It is silver. This is a superior grade life juice source. The crew members of the pirate ship were extremely excited and overjoyed. The life juice source was worth cities. Its effects went without saying. It was not something these crew members could enjoy. In fact, it would be hard for them to even see it. However, today not only did Xiaochen see it, but he even got a share of the life juice source. His joy was naturally indescribable. "Captain, you really collected the life juice source." Xiao Sua looked at Xiaochen incredulously, filled with respect. Xiaochen dared to take the risk in the nest of the black star sawtooth sharks. Just this courage alone was convincing. To think that Xiaochen really managed to obtain the life juice source. Xiaochen nodded. Then he looked at Xiao Sua, Luonan, and Fei Er. "Come with me. After entering the captain's quarters and verifying that there was no one else, Xiaochen took out 150 kilograms of golden life juice source and distributed it to the three. As Xiao Sua's cultivation was higher, he could absorb more, so he gave him an extra 25 kilograms. This is too precious. Captain, we cannot take it. Right. Just give us the silver life juice source. Captain, you should use this for yourself. 50 kilograms per person is too much. We simply cannot afford it. Xiao Sua, Fei and Luonan were all stunned. The silver life juice source was already shocking enough for them. Who could have imagined that after Xiaochen entered, he would give them the golden life juice source? They had never heard of it before. It could be imagined that its rarity and preciousness had completely exceeded everyone's expectations. What was even more unexpected was that Xiaochen was willing to take out so much golden life juice source for them to use. This was simply unimaginable. Xiaochen smiled and said, "Take it. My harvest on this trip is greater than you can imagine. Since you are following me, naturally, I will not mistreat you. If you become stronger, you will be of greater help to me." After dismissing all their worries, the three excitedly put away the golden life juice source and rushed back to absorb and refine it. Needless to say, after absorbing this life juice source, the ordinary crew members Xiao Sua and Luo Nan would experience a qualitative breakthrough. The three walked out of the captain's quarters and arrived at the pirate ship's observation deck. Then, Xiaochen waved his hand, and little yellow feather came down with the cold steel eagles. Xiaochen smiled and took out the golden life juice source, feeding it to the 2-meter-long cold steel eagles. Following this, the 2-meter-long cold steel eagles still had great use. He needed them to hunt ferocious beasts to replenish the immemorial demon soul formation. Xiaochen needed to light up a pearl quickly to strengthen the Yazi beast demon soul. At that time, the combat prowess of the entire pirate ship would increase significantly. As for little yellow feather, it sniffed the golden life juice source and drank it like it was water. It even shook its head to indicate that it did not taste good. Little yellow feather did not react at all. This made Xiaochen's heart ache, wasting a significant amount of life juice source. This was because little yellow feather was a pure-blooded golden crow, a holy beast. It was a holy beast equal to a pure-blooded blue dragon. Its level of life was already as high as it could get. Of course, the life juice source was useless to it. All it needed was time to grow slowly. Then, it would occasionally recall the memories its seniors left in its bloodline. Its strength could grow rapidly without any bottlenecks. There was no need to cultivate. In the end, its strength would even break through the sky. It was an innate existence that made people envious. However, Xiaochen also found this strange. Back then, he had found that golden crow egg under the longevity tree in the Sky Dome Immortal realm. Could the Sky Dome Immortal Lord have purposely left it behind to give Xiaochen a helper in this epoch? Of course, there could be other reasons as well. 3 days later, Xiaochen bathed in the golden life juice source a few more times. His physical body underwent a constant cleansing, and his physique continuously improved. He vaguely felt a strong energy rushing through his blood as it flowed in his body. Xiaochen's body became firmer, and his originally thin blue dragon bloodline became much denser. After refining and absorbing close to 250 kilograms of golden life juice source, Xiaochen discovered that his physical body had also gradually adapted to the harsh environment of the Starry Sea. His speed and movement technique had already recovered to half the standard of the outside world, making him feel very gratified. In the future, when he met the cold steel eagles, he would not have to waste them like that. Of course, the cold steel eagles were already his pets. Right now, my physical body is already among the best among the primal core venerates in the Grave Sea. Major primal core venerates are not much stronger than me. Xiaochen took a deep breath, feeling his entire body fill with energy. However, to his surprise, the greatest change brought about by the life juice source was not him. Instead, it was Luonan and Fei. These two's physical bodies did not seem to have absorbed any precious natural treasures before. The effect of the life juice source was a true rebirth, a heaven-defying change of fate. The two had successfully broken through the Yang Essence stage and reached the half-step primal core realm, becoming several levels stronger. When Xiaochen learned of this, he was stunned at first. Then he understood. Everyone's body had a resistance to medicine. The first time one consumed a natural treasure, the effects would definitely be the best. Furthermore, their cultivations were not high, and their accumulations were not as deep as Xiao Chen's. It was reasonable for them to have such a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Sua's improvement was also gratifying. He successfully advanced to peak minor primal core realm under the influence of the life juice source. Under the influence of the life juice source, Xiao Sua's physique continuously strengthened, cleansing it several times. Now his combat prowess was no weaker than a primal core venerate who grew up in the grave sea. The effects of the highest quality life juice source were truly startling. Xiaochen was flabbergasted. After a year or so, the follow-up effects of the life juice source would gradually show. The combat prowess of the entire crew of the ship would increase significantly. So, Xiaochen took out some of the life juice source, making Xiao Sua and the others feel extremely grateful. "Captain, we will arrive at the nearest pirate alliance in another 7 days, Xiao Sua reported. After a round of consolidation, Xiao Sua's aura was even denser than before. His strength had increased significantly. At that time we can ask around and find out which sect the senior Yi Zifeng is in. Captain can also take the opportunity to take part in the test and raise your rank," Xiao Sua suggested to Xiaochen. "After a captain raises his rank, there will be many benefits and many privileges in the Pirate Alliance." Chapter 16:21. Xiao Sua's suggestion made Xiaochen sink into deep thought. To be honest, he did not intend to be a pirate for the rest of his life. Xiaochen's goal was very clear and had never changed. He wanted to go to Ancestor Dragon City. He wanted to meet Lu Ruyue and become the Dragon Emperor, reviving the Blue Dragon bloodline. If Xiaochen got too deeply involved in the Pirate Alliance, it would be difficult for him to escape in the future. We'll see. Right now, the overall performance of the Black Cutlass is comparable to a 3-star pirate ship. There is no need to rush for now. Xiao Sua was slightly disappointed when he heard this. He could tell that Xiaochen was not interested in this. Xiaochen looked at Xiao Sua and said softly, "Sooner or later, I will leave. I will return this ship to you. Don't give up on what you once held on to. However, big brother, I have already sworn to follow you for the rest of my life," Xiao Sua said sincerely with a slightly nervous expression. Xiaochen smiled. "Don't think too much. Following me doesn't mean that you have to follow me all the time. I believe that sooner or later, you will have the ability to take charge and become a 9-star pirate, or even a pirate king." Xiao Sua smiled in embarrassment. He did not take Xiao Sua's words seriously. Being a 9-star pirate was already out of his reach, not to mention a pirate king. 6 days later, the Black Cutlass pirate ship slowed down in the Grave Sea, slowly approaching the Pirate Alliance on the sea map. In the captain's cabin, Xiaochen opened his eyes. His physical body had been cleansed by the golden life juice source again. There was no more room for improvement. Compared to before he refined the life juice source, his physique had already undergone a qualitative leap. Right now, Xiaochen's physical body was already comparable to that of a major primal core cultivator. It was not much stronger. Of course, the major primal core venerates here referred to the major primal core venerates that grew up in places like the Grave Sea. This was not the major primal core of a small place like Purple Sun City. Right now the strongest aspect of his body was his physical body. Xiaochen's vital qi could already condense 3 cauldron force. When he punched out, it was 3 cauldron force easily and without any pressure. The second was saber skills. After arriving in the Great Thousand Realms, aside from breaking through to small perfection in Great Dao energy, Xiaochen had not made much progress with the Saber Dao. Finally, it was cultivation. The quintessential essence of the half-step primal core realm was still a little lacking in terms of realm. Even though he had a deep and solid foundation, his cultivation realm was still very low. Compared to the peak minor primal core Xiao Sua, Xiaochen's veritable essence energy was somewhat inferior. However, if Xiaochen broke through to the half-step primal core realm, the energy that he would erupt with would be even more horrifying. Their current weakness was just a result of their accumulation. My overall strength should not be much weaker than the Black Lotus Church's Arhats. including my trump cards, I should be able to fight them. Xiaochen mumbled to himself thoughtfully. Captain, we are almost at the pirate hall. Come out for a walk. Fei Er walked into the captain's cabin and said to Xiaochen. According to the sea chart, the Pirate Alliance's base was 50 kilometers ahead. Xiaochen nodded, indicating that he understood. He pushed open the door and went to the highest observation deck of the ship. Whoosh! Suddenly, sonic booms rang out above the pirate ship. A few figures flew over the group at high speed. Those who dared to fly in the starry sea were all peak experts. At the very least, without sufficient veritable essence energy, they would not dare to fly. The group glanced at the pirate ship below. Then they did not linger, quickly leaving. After a while, 7 or 8 groups of cultivators flew past the pirate ship one after another, heading for the island where the Pirate Alliance was. Xiaochen found this somewhat strange. This is strange. Where did so many people come from? Why are they wasting veritable essence energy flying above the starry sea? Are there no ships? Xiao Suo explained to Fei Er below. These people are not pirates. Their ships cannot stop near the Pirate Alliance. However, the Pirate Alliance does not forbid them from coming alone. Feeling confused, Fei Er asked, they are not pirates. What are they doing at the Pirate Alliance? Xiao Suo smiled and replied, some are here to buy and sell goods, some are here to make a name for themselves, and some are just here to watch the excitement. The Pirate Alliance in the Starry Sea is not as peaceful as Purple Sun City. Do you think of it as a chaotic city that does not have as many rules as the righteous Dao sects? It is just a free city in the sea. Feeling curious, Fei Er asked, they can make a name for themselves? Can we do that as well? An old sailor laughed loudly and said, the people of the righteous Dao use us to make a name for themselves. Naturally, we can use these people to make a name for ourselves as well. However, it will be a bad reputation. Hee. Xiao Suo nodded and said, that's right. What does the Pirate Alliance have the most? Naturally, it has the most pirates. There are also some bandits and experts of the evil Dao who like to gather here. There is a wrestling ring in the Pirate Hall. If one can defeat a strong pirate or an expert of the evil Dao here, one will quickly become famous. Furthermore, one can even benefit from it. It is precisely because of this uniqueness that the Pirate Alliance can stand on its own, becoming a unique place of interest in the vast sea. It attracts people from all walks of life, from the righteous Dao and the evil Dao, to gather here. Fei Er stuck out her tongue and said, so that's how it is. It feels rather interesting. Xiao Suo turned his head and smiled. Little girl, I think you have the potential to become a great pirate. Luonen quickly stepped forward and said, don't speak nonsense. Don't lead my Fei Er astray. Xiao Suo guffawed and said unconcernedly, I'm just saying it casually. Look at how nervous you are. On the tall watchtower, Xiaochen leaned back gently, and the cycle thrown in his clothes appeared from nowhere. Then he leaned comfortably on it. Xiaochen looked into the distance. A blue dot had already appeared at the limits of his vision. That was the Pirate Alliance. I heard that 2 rank 3 sect disciples from different blessed lands are going to fight it out at the Pirate Alliance's gathering point. Interesting. No wonder there are so many people coming and going. It turns out that there is something interesting to watch. There are 3 blessed lands in the Grave Sea. Those who can establish their sect in a blessed land are the peak existences of rank 3 sections. These 2 people are definitely not simple. That's right. These 2 people have the bloodlines of the great desolate Aeon's 10,000 races. Among the younger generation of their respective blessed lands, they rank within the top 100. Up on the watchtower, Xiaochen's senses were extremely sharp after continuously strengthening his physical body. He heard some interesting topics. During the Immortal Epoch, blessed lands referred to the places where Earth immortals resided. Naturally, there were no immortals in the Martial Epoch. The ones occupying the blessed lands were the outstanding talents of their respective sections. They had to go through intense competition before they could enter the blessed lands. There were a total of 3 blessed lands in the Grave Sea: the Patala Mountain, the Black Cave Mountain, and the Heavenly Shaking Mountain. Every single blessed abode was renowned far and wide, and their statuses were extraordinary. Rank 3 sects could only enter one of these blessed lands to raise their sect's rank to the stronger rank 4. The sect of Senior Pan Huang's in-name disciple should be in one of these 3 blessed lands. Aside from repairing the pirate ship, Xiaochen had another reason for coming to the Pirate Alliance. He wanted to find out which blessed land Yi Zifeng's sect was in. Upon hearing the conversation of these people, Xiaochen's eyes lit up. If these 2 blessed land disciples were from the same blessed land as Yi Zifeng, perhaps he could enter Yi Zifeng's sect ahead of time. "Captain, we have arrived," Xiao Sua called out to Xiaochen from the deck. Xiaochen nodded and leaped down. The throne returned to his clothes, and he landed firmly on the deck. The group of 4 headed for the pirate hall. The other crew members piloted the pirate ship to the harbor for repairs. This was not Xiaochen's first time at the pirate hall. He was not surprised by the many palaces, which rose and fell, surrounded by palace walls. Although it was called the pirate hall, it was actually a pirate city. One should not be fooled by the name. At the entrance of the pirate hall, one could enter for free with the captain medallion. If one was not a pirate, one would have to pay extra spirit jades to enter. Furthermore, it was not cheap. Xiaochen watched the endless stream of people entering. Every outsider handed over 1,000 inferior grade spirit jades. Xiaochen was flabbergasted. This pirate alliance earned spirit jades really easily. I wonder if there are any envious factions that want to compete with them. Chapter 1622. After handing over the captain token and verifying their identities, Xiaochen's group successfully entered the pirate hall. Majestic statues stood at the entrance of every pirate hall. Every pirate that passed by would stare at them for a long time. The legendary Pirate King was the highest honor in every pirate's heart. One of them had a bushy beard and a muscular figure. He held a scarlet pirate banner in his hand. This was the legendary Scarlet Blood Pirate King. Xiaochen observed for a while before walking to a quiet corner. Then he said to the 3, "After drifting at sea for so many days, let's split up first. We will meet back here 4 hours later." Everyone agreed to this suggestion. This was especially so for Xiao Sua, who felt exceptionally excited. After Luo Nan and Fei Er left, Xiaochen called out to Xiao Sua and handed him a stack of paper. Xiao Sua received it and took a look. Each piece of paper had 2 or 3 strange talisman scripts drawn on it. He could not understand them at all. "What is this? Why is it so messy?" Xiaochen smiled and retorted, "Messy? Messy is right. These are the talisman scripts carved on the Scarlet Blood War banner. I copied them all. They should be some kind of language. Go and find someone in this field to decipher them. Remember, don't just decipher them in one place. Look for several places." Xiao Sua immediately became excited. "All right, leave this to me. I will definitely do it well." There's no rush. The clues left by the Scarlet Blood Pirate King are definitely not easy to find. In any case, no matter what the results are, we will meet back here in 2 hours. "All right, I got it." Xiao Sua left excitedly with a smile. Everyone left, leaving only Xiaochen alone. As he looked at the palace buildings in the pirate city, Xiaochen had his own purpose. He wanted to scout out information. He did not have much information in Purple Sun City, so he should be able to find some useful information here. "This young hero, is this your first time in the Grave Seas Pirate Hall?" A person who acted friendly walked over to Xiaochen and put on a smile, doing his best to make himself appear friendly. Xiaochen sized up this person. This person wore azure clothes and was only a young essence stage cultivator. He looked ordinary and did not have anything extraordinary about him. There were many such people at the entrance. Every time an outsider came in, these people would go over. In his previous world, these people were called tour guides. They guided strangers who were not pirates to quickly familiarize themselves with the pirate hall. However, most of these people went to the primal core venerates. Few would take the initiative to chat with half-step primal core venerates. The reason was very simple. Those with a high cultivation base would definitely have a rich family background, and those with a rich family background would definitely be generous. Don't think too much, young hero. I live nearby. When I am free, I will stand guard here and help an outsider like young hero familiarize himself with the pirate hall, collecting a small payment. Young hero, don't worry. Aside from Wrestling City, fighting is prohibited in the pirate hall. I will never murder for money. My name is Wang Feng. Young hero can just call me Little Wang. The azure-clad Wang Feng said a lot in one breath, feeling somewhat nervous in his heart. He had good eyesight and could tell that the white-clad person before him had an extraordinary background and was not an ordinary half-step primal core cultivator. This would be a Si Zhao's union. This kind of family background was extraordinary, and they were definitely elite disciples of third-grade sections. They might even have come from some heavenly paradise. The Jianghu experience was less, but the rewards were greater. Your eyesight is not bad, but you still need to practice. I'm a pirate. Xiao Chen took out the captain's token and waved it in front of the man. The azure-clothed man could not help feeling surprised. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be a pirate. Xiao Chen could not help feeling disappointed. As long as the members of the Pirate Alliance went to the main hall of the Pirate Hall, there would be someone there to guide them. There was no profit to be made. However, I do need someone to lead the way for me right now. Let me ask you, where can I find information in this pirate hall? These last words made the green-robed man quite happy. He rolled his eyes and smiled. You are asking the right person. The Wanxiang Pagoda is definitely the best place to ask for information. However, our pirate alliance is not bad either. Just in this grave sea alone, we have more than 100 strongholds of various sizes. Cut the crap. Bring me there, and you'll be rewarded. Xiao Chen went straight to the point and interrupted the man's long-winded speech. The green-clothed man smiled happily and said, All right, I'll take you there now. Having business to do was a good thing. He would be able to make a lot of money again. Indeed, with someone familiar leading the way, Xiao Chen could save a lot of time. Wang Feng led Xiao Chen through many turns. Soon they stopped in front of a tower. The West Wind Tower, the place where the Pirate Alliance gathers information. It is not open to the public. You have the captain's token, so there should be no problem entering. The green-clothed man pointed at the tower and smiled. What other instructions do you have? It's fine, I'll wait here. In that case, wait here first. Xiao Chen strode towards the West Wind Tower. The entrance was heavily guarded, conducting a strict check on Xiao Chen. However, when checking the captain's token, the guard appeared rather casual, only giving it a cursory glance. Your captain's token is not up to standard. You can only go to the first floor and not the floors above. The guard had a dark expression as he handed Xiao Chen's captain's token to Xiao Chen. Is there a difference? Naturally there is. You will know after you go in. Xiao Chen entered the first floor, feeling puzzled. Then he was directed to a booth with a small window. A lazy voice came from the other side of the window. Ask away. What do you want to know? After walking over and sitting down, Xiao Chen thought for a while before saying, I would like to know if there is a person called Yi Zifeng in the Grave Sea. If there is, there is. The voice in the window answered decisively. Then it laughed sinisterly and said, Good, you are done with your free questions. Next, you will have to pay spirit jades for every question you ask. Don't complain. Your level is too low. You only have one free question. The interrupted Xiao Chen was speechless. He asked sullenly, Which sect is Senior Yi Zifeng in? How far is it from here? Young man, these are 2 questions. Each question costs 10,000 spirit jades. The old man speaking inside laughed and did not say anything more. Good. Let's change the question. I would like to know Senior Yi Zifeng's detailed information. Xiao Chen handed over the spirit jades, feeling somewhat upset. This number was somewhat too large. The old man's attitude seemed like he was toying with Xiao Chen. If this continued, he would end up paying even more spirit jades. A hand stretched out from the window and quickly took away the spirit jades. Then it said, This question costs another 40,000 spirit jades. This is never-ending. Xiao Chen's face sank. Are you messing with me? Don't lose your temper with me. This is the rule set by the Pirate Alliance. The value of your question is much greater than the previous 2. Young man, don't play word games with me. Bang. The window directly shattered. Xiaochun had punched it and stretched out his hand to grab the old man inside. Pala. Clearly, the old man inside had not expected Xiaochun to be so tyrannical. Xiaochun attacked without any warning. Caught off guard, the old man was immediately pulled out and fell to the ground. Behind the window were rows of bookshelves with all sorts of information on them. Aside from that, there was no one else. You dare to attack me? The wizened old man on the ground glared at Xiaochun in rage. You are just an insignificant half-step primal core cultivator, and you dare to be so arrogant? You are seeking death. Whoosh! The old man's figure flashed, and he leaped up from the ground and threw a palm strike at Xiaochun. Xiaochun snorted coldly and countered with a punch, instantly erupting with 3 cauldron force. The crafty old man vomited a mouthful of blood as Xiaochun knocked him back. He was an early-stage minor primal core venerate, yet he could not receive one move from Xiaochun. As the old man looked at Xiaochun, he could not help revealing a horrified expression. However, he still forced himself to remain calm and said, "You inexperienced brat, how dare you make a move here? Quickly apologize. Otherwise, you will not be able to walk out of the West Wind Tower." Xiaochun's lips curled up in a cold smile as he said indifferently, "There is no need for you to care about my matters. Before the West Wind Tower's people arrive, speak properly." A formless aura spread out, and the crafty old man shivered. He saw a terrifying killing chi in Xiaochun's cold eyes. The old man's heart sank for some reason as he felt a terrifying danger encasing him. "All right, I'll speak." The crafty old man's eyes flickered as he chose to endure the humiliation first. The crafty old man said, "Yi Zifeng, one of the 10 great saber venerates of the Grave Sea. His cultivation is extremely horrifying, having reached the Starry Sky realm long ago." Star Venerate? That's right. The Cloud Sea realm has 3 stages: the Starry Sky realm, the Holy Light realm, and the Sovereign realm. Starry Sky realm cultivators are called Star Venerates, Holy Light realm cultivators are called Holy Venerates, and Sovereign realm cultivators are called Sovereign Personages. Sovereign Personages have reached the limits of mortals. If they advance further, they will break free from the limits of mortals and reach another level. Xiaochun had read about the cultivation realms of the Great Thousand Realms. The moment the old man said this, he recalled it. Above the Cloud Sea realm was the Divine Vein realm. After opening a divine vein, one would be considered to have reached the demigod realm. Xiaochun nodded and said, "Continue." Rumor has it that Yi Zifeng is the nominal disciple of the Spring Snow Bladesman, Pan Huang. His strength is at the peak of Star Venerates. There are even rumors that he has already reached the Holy Light realm. However, he has rarely shown himself in recent years. There is very little news about him. The sect he comes from is the Heavenly Profound sect, which is stationed in one of the 3 blessed lands of the Grave Sea, the Black Cave Mountain. Xiaochun nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked at the crafty old man and said, "Can't you speak properly? You just have to suffer a little before you are willing to listen." The crafty old man smiled embarrassedly and said, "Don't get cocky. After you walk out of this door, you will know the consequences of your actions." Xiaochun smiled and said, "What consequences? What is this?" The official intelligence agency of the Pirate Alliance is clearly a scam. That Wang Feng outside is a scammer, right? The crafty old man's expression changed slightly. "You, how did you know?" Chapter 16:23. The devious old man felt very surprised. As he looked at Xiaochun, his eyes filled with shock. "Who knew?" Xiaochun smiled calmly and said, "I was just trying to scare you. Unexpectedly, I guessed right." However, Xiaochun was somewhat suspicious. When he entered, the guard interrogated him very strictly. However, when he checked the captain's medallion, he only casually glanced at it, not caring at all. Xiaochun was more cautious. Later on, the other party even said that he could only go to the first floor. Xiaochun felt that something was wrong. It was just scouting for information, not an auction house or a wrestling ring. Why would there be a difference in rank? Normally, the spirit jades would be sufficient for any kind of information. "You." The devious old man immediately felt very angry. He said coldly, "White-clad brat, don't get cocky. If you have the guts, don't walk out of this door. The pirate alliance is very deep. You want to overturn it? Dream on. Creak. As the devious old man spoke, the door opened forcefully. 3 tall, burly men with boorish faces barged in. The leader looked at Xiao Chun with a sullen expression and said, "Are you causing trouble?" The devious old man looked like he saw his savior. He got up and said, "That's right. It's him. It's him. He wants information. Not only did he not give me the spirit jades, he even brought me up." The leader looked at Xiao Chun and smiled coldly. Interesting. Just anyone dares to cause trouble in the West Wind Tower. Leave behind 100,000 spirit jades. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving the West Wind Tower. You really speak a lot of nonsense. Xiao Chun could not be bothered to waste his breath. His figure flashed as he raised his hand and sent a palm strike. Using his palm as a saber, Xiao Chun quickly chopped down. The leader showed a startled expression. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun attacked at the drop of a hat. In a fluster, he quickly retreated. The two at the left and right made their moves, taking advantage of the situation to surround Xiao Chun, trying to force him back. However, things did not go as he wished. Xiao Chun was astonishingly fast, not giving the leader any chance to dodge. Xiao Chun's hand saber struck the other party's crossed arms. Kase. Cracks immediately appeared on the ground. The leader grunted in pain. His arms broke, and he lost all feeling. Get lost. Xiao Chun did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. He sent this person flying with a kick, and his figure flashed out of the room. The 2 burly men on the left and right didn't even manage to touch the corner of Xiao Chun's clothes. As soon as he stepped out of the room, a group of people with sharp blades charged towards Xiao Chun from both sides of the corridor. Every cultivator was at least a Yang Essence cultivator. There were many half-step primal core cultivators, and the ones leading them were even minor primal core cultivators. Xiao Chun's expression was calm as he recalled the route he took to get here. Then he charged through the right corridor. Daring to cause trouble in the West Wind Tower, you really don't know the meaning of death. When the leader saw Xiao Chun rushing towards him, he sneered and rushed over first. Wuxia. A strong wind blew, and Xiao Chun soon met halfway. They exchanged glances and attacked without hesitation. In the narrow passageway, the two of them started fighting fiercely. Their figures were so fast that they could not be seen. One could only see a series of afterimages. After 100 moves, the newcomer vomited a mouthful of blood and got sent flying by Xiao Chun's punch. That person crashed into the people behind him. The huge impact caused several people to feel pain. The devious old man quietly crawled out of his booth and stuck his head out to observe the situation. He saw Xiao Chun advancing rapidly, not stopping at all. No one who dared to block him could last more than 3 moves. I ran into a tough nut to crack, the devious old man said with a bitter expression. He felt somewhat nervous in his heart. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun was so strong. If this matter blew up, the devious old man would not have a good ending either. Xiao Chun advanced rapidly. Aside from the few people who exchanged moves with him at the start, no one could block him for more than a second. 1 second was enough for Xiao Chun to make more than 10 moves. In less than 10 moves, the burly man in front of him was tossed aside like a sandbag. At the same time, someone rushed in from a luxuriously decorated VIP room at the top of the West Wind Tower. Chief Manager Ding, things are bad. Someone is causing trouble. A middle-aged man in the VIP room brewed tea with a relaxed expression. The middle-aged man wore simple robes and had a string of wooden Buddhist prayer beads on his wrist. He gave off an extraordinary air, giving off a calm and casual air. This person was called Ding Yuan, one of the managers of the West Wind Tower. He had been in this pirate hall for decades. He was very strong and could be considered very influential, holding a high position and authority. When Ding Yuan saw the flustered appearance of the newcomer, he calmly leaned back and pointed to the tea table. Have some tea first. After that, we can talk things out. The youth known as Xiao Ma picked up the teacup and drained it. Then, he told Ding Yuan everything that happened below in full detail. Ding Yuan's expression did not change as he said, "You can't handle a half-step primal core cultivator? Since when did my West Wind Tower become so weak? Chief Steward Ding, we've already invited 3 guest elders to take action, but they're still unable to take it down. I don't have the authority to mobilize an intersect guest, so I can only ask you to make the decision, Xiao Ma quickly said. Ding Yuan smiled and said, interesting, I'll go take a look. After exiting the VIP room, he stood on the railing of the corridor on the top floor and looked down. In the hall, Xiaochen was fighting 1 against 3, and he wasn't at a disadvantage. The 3 guest elders of the West Wind Tower were all peak primal core cultivators. Furthermore, they were not half-baked minor primal core venerates. In the Purple Sun region, he would definitely be a top-notch expert, comparable to a major primal core venerate. However, the 3 of them still couldn't take down Xiaochen no matter how hard they tried. They couldn't see any signs of Xiaochen falling into a disadvantageous position. On top of the building, Ding Yuan's eyes flashed as he murmured, the bloodline of the desolate era. I wonder what kind of bloodline it is. Down below, just as Xiaochen was about to use his trump card and force his way out, the 3 guest elders in the hall suddenly stopped and looked behind with respectful expressions. Xiaochen turned around and looked at the newcomer. Then he sized up Ding Yuan. This person should be the manager of the West Wind Tower. He was a late-stage major primal core cultivator, and his aura was exceptionally calm. With one look, it was clear that he was not a good person. Ding Yuan said coldly, all of you withdraw. I'll deal with this matter. Yes, Chief Manager Ding. Ding Yuan nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked at Xiaochen and smiled. Little brother, may I have a word with you? Xiaochen originally thought that this person would make a move on him, so he was prepared to blow the matter up. Unexpectedly, the other party was so polite. There's no need. If you have anything to say, you can say it now, Xiaochen said indifferently. Ding Yuan ignored Xiaochen's stiff tone. He smiled and said, it is just a misunderstanding. Little brother, don't take it to heart. If I really had any ill intentions towards you, I would have used the guest elders of the inner sect. Although the West Wind Tower is not something to be proud of, it is still somewhat strong. These words were true. However, Xiaochen truly did not fear the other party. He looked straight at the other party and asked, what exactly are you trying to say? In that instant, Ding Yuan felt like his soul was being seen through when facing Xiaochen's gaze. He calmed himself before saying, I admire your strength. Have you ever thought of earning a lot of money in this pirate hall? At the same time, you can temper your combat experience. You mean the wrestling ring? Xiaochen looked at the other party doubtfully. Smart. Ding Yuan smiled and nodded. Then he handed an engraved card to Xiaochen and said, if you are interested, you can come and look for me at any time. The owner of the wrestling ring in this pirate hall is a friend of mine. Recently, the geniuses from the 2 blessed lands have been doing very well there, winning a lot of spirit jades. You can go and take a look. Xiaochen received the engraved card and looked at it. Then he raised his head and said, if I am interested, I will come and look for you. Goodbye. Seeing Xiaochen leave, several people at the side became anxious. Chief Manager Ding, how can you let him go like that? He broke the rules of our West Wind Tower. Ding Yuan said indifferently, the West Wind Tower has stood strong for so long. A large part of the reason is that they know what kind of people to offend, and what kind of people not to offend. With one look, Ding Yuan knew that the person before him had an extraordinary background. Furthermore, he possessed the bloodline of the great desolate Eon's 10,000 races. Clearly, he was not someone that could be casually offended. Bring the person who gave him the information. I want to interrogate him carefully. It is time to rectify some of the recent customs. After leaving behind a sentence that made everyone tremble in fear, Ding Yuan turned around and left with a cold expression. When the crafty old man hiding in the corner heard this, he was so frightened that his legs went soft, and he fell to the ground. Chapter 1624. After leaving the West Wind Tower, Xiaochen saw Wang Feng, who was still waiting there. So he walked over without changing his expression. Young hero, how was it? Did you gain anything? Wang Feng asked extremely respectfully with a smile on his face. Xiaochen replied expressionlessly, I gained a lot. That's good. I wonder, how are you going to calculate my reward? Wang Feng's smile did not fade as he looked at Xiaochen, filled with hope. Xiaochen's face sank as he shouted coldly, You are really extraordinarily bold. After tricking me, you still want to ask me for a reward? Wang Feng's heart tightened. When he felt Xiaochen's gaze on him, he felt immense pressure. How can that be? Young hero must be joking, right? Wang Feng said somewhat anxiously as he forced out a smile. Xiaochen did not say anything. He took out a nameplate and placed it before Wang Feng. Ding Yuan, the West Wind Tower's chief manager. Wang Feng's expression changed drastically. He could not help taking 2 steps back. As he looked at Xiaochen, his eyes filled with shock. How did the West Wind Tower's chief manager hand his nameplate to Xiaochen? In that case, wouldn't the matter of him colluding with the lower echelons of the West Wind Tower be exposed? Xiaochen put away the nameplate and said indifferently, I will not pursue this matter for now. After this, just make up for your mistakes and do your job well. I will definitely reward you handsomely. Wang Feng felt surprised. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen let him off. He immediately felt relieved of a heavy burden. He nodded and said, Young hero, don't worry. If you have any instructions, I promise to do my best. There is no need for any reward. 1 hour later, Xiaochen's group of 4 gathered at the Pirate King statues at the entrance of the Pirate Hall. Xiao Suo looked at Wang Feng and asked, Who is this fellow? He looks shifty-eyed. With one look, I can tell that he is not a good person. Wang Feng felt embarrassed in his heart. He quickly smiled and said, I am Wang Feng. I am very familiar with this pirate hall. If you need any help, just let me know at any time. Let's put his matter aside. Xiao Suo, how's the matter I gave you? Xiaochen was more concerned about this. Xiao Suo smiled straightforwardly and said, It is done. There will be results 10 days later. Xiaochen was delighted. He nodded and said, Not bad, you're quite agile. Xiaochen had high hopes for the treasure left behind by the Scarlet Blood Pirate King. The central Great Realm, where Ancestor Dragon City was a true gathering place. If one went there without strength, one would only be humiliated. Xiaochen did not want Lu Ruyue to take care of him after seeing her. Big brother Xiaochen, should we go take a stroll around the wrestling ring? Many of the people who come here are here for the wrestling ring, Feier suggested. Luonan added, I heard that these 2 outstanding talents from different blessed lands are in a fit of pique, competing to see who can obtain more consecutive victories. The atmosphere is very intense. Xiaochen took out the nameplate and recalled Ding Yuan's words. He fell into deep thought. After a while, Xiaochen shook his head and stopped thinking about the other party's suggestion. He could go and take a look. I'm familiar with the wrestling ring. I'll bring everyone there. Wang Feng volunteered, wanting to show off. Xiaochen nodded and said, Lead the way then. The wrestling ring was a sealed place. The outer walls were made of extremely hard crystals from the seabed. The entire wrestling ring was protected by formations. Even a peak major primal core cultivator would find it hard to destroy the wrestling ring. Many pirate hall cultivators stood guard at the entrance. After everyone paid an entrance fee of 1,000 spirit jades, they successfully entered. Wang Feng felt a slight heartache. 1,000 inferior grade spirit jades was not a small sum. What a fellow! The one from the Black Cave Mountain already won 20 consecutive victories, leading the innate Shaking Mountains person by 1. Instant kill. The Heavenly Shaking Mountains outstanding talent instantly killed 2 people and overtook them. Damn. I'm destined to lose all my spirit jades today. These 2 people are too strong. The atmosphere in the wrestling ring was fervent. Deafening shouts resounded everywhere. Originally, there were 16 arenas in the vast wrestling ring. However, they were now combined into 2. This caused everyone's attention to be focused on the remaining 2 arenas. The spectator seats in the vicinity were already full. These 2 are the outstanding talents from the Blessed Enclave? This is really incredible. At such a young age, they are already minor primal core cultivators. I wonder how they cultivate. On the stage, the 2 young men were the center of attention of the crowd. One had short hair and black clothes. He had a handsome face and gave off a sharp aura. His eyebrows were sharp, and his eyes were like stars or gems. The other person had long hair that trailed over his shoulders, giving off a scholarly and calm air. His sharpness was withdrawn, but he could not hide the pride in his eyes. This was an innate pride that was nurtured. With one look, it was clear that he had been a proud son of heaven since he was young, standing out from the masses. In this wrestling ring, where the many experts of the four seas gathered, the two's every move attracted everyone's attention. This was especially so for some young girls. They could not take their eyes off the two, their eyes glittering like stars. Luo Nan felt a great sense of disappointment. He muttered, "These are the true outstanding talents of the elite. The so-called 3 new talents of Purple Sun City are not sufficient at all." While Luo Nan rejected the 3 new talents of Purple Sun City, he also rejected himself. Luo Nan sneaked a glance at Xiao Chun, and discovered that Xiao Chun's expression remained calm, not changing at all. I wonder what Xiao Chun is thinking. Luo Nan entered deep thought. In his heart, Luo Nan could not help comparing Xiao Chun to these two. He felt that the two in the wrestling ring were sharp and full of vigor. These two enjoyed the feeling of being the center of attention. On the other hand, Xiao Chun appeared much calmer, making others wonder what he was thinking. "Ling Yu, not bad. You managed to instantly kill 2 people in a row. To think that you managed to overtake me." The short-haired, black-clad youth looked mockingly at the long-haired, scholarly youth. The scholarly youth Ling Yu smiled faintly and said, "Jiang Xian, if you want to defeat me, you'd better put in more effort." Haha. The payout increased again. "Little fellow from the Black Cave Mountain, I'll be your opponent." As these people spoke, an unprepossessing old man holding a huge sword charged over to the arena where the short-haired, black-clad youth, Jiang Xian, was. "It's old Devil Lu. This fellow is a 3-star captain. He is rather strong. I heard that this old Devil Lu is a peak minor primal core cultivator, just 1 step shy of major primal core. There are rules in the arena that forbid major primal core cultivators from fighting. This is already the strongest person to fight." Soon, people recognized old Devil Lu. His strength was 2 grades higher than Ling Yu's. Ling Yu was only an early-stage minor primal core cultivator. Furthermore, he was not very old. However, this old Devil Lu was someone who had lived for several hundred years. He had rich combat experience and killed countless people, radiating a startling baleful aura. Blazing Solar Sword Light Chop. The moment old Devil Lu entered the arena, he activated the huge sword in his hand and charged over. That huge sword immediately burst into flames, turning into a vast sea of flames. Then, the flames gathered and turned into a boundlessly resplendent flaming sword light. A treasure tool. Old Devil Lu's sword is actually a treasure tool that surpasses profound tools. No wonder he dares to fight. Startled cries rang out in the crowd. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. This old Devil Lu's strength, together with this sword, is somewhat terrifying. In a one-on-one fight, Xiao Suo, who recently absorbed the life juice source, should only have a 60% chance of victory. A treasure tool? I've even seen Dao tools before. Why would I fear your treasure tool? Ling Yu's lips curled up, not caring. Cloud-shattering heavenly star fist. Not only did Ling Yu not retreat, but he even stepped forward and threw punch after punch. Intense explosions resounded in the air. Countless fist lights burst out, looking like flickering stars. Their auras flourished, like thousands of stars lighting up at the same time. Pusai. Pusai. The flaming sword light that old Devil Lu formed slowly dimmed. The light of the stars suppressed it, until it could not resist at all. Old Devil Lu retreated again and again, greatly startled. He discovered that his heavy sword light could not even last a strike before the other party's fist light. Every punch caused his chi and blood to surge, and his internal organs to feel extremely uncomfortable. This pressed down on his body and soul. Boom. Old Devil Lu vomited a mouthful of blood. After enduring 10 moves, a punch struck him and sent him flying out of the arena. Whoosh! Everyone was shocked. They had not expected the powerful old monster Lu to only last 10 moves. After 10 moves, he was sent flying and eliminated. Chapter 1625. No one had expected the early-stage minor primal core black-clad youth, Ling Yu, to defeat Old Devil Lu, who had hundreds of years of combat experience, within 10 moves. The battle ended so quickly that it left everyone flabbergasted and in disbelief. The victor of this battle was the Black Cave Mountain's Ling Yu, and the scholarly youth Jiang Xian from the Heavenly Shaking Mountain. Their consecutive victories tied once again. The scholarly youth Jiang Xian smiled and said, "Not bad, Ling Yu. Do you dare to go bigger?" "Afraid of you?" Ling Yu's lips curled up in a cold smile. "How do you want to play?" Jiang Xian smiled and said, "Let's fight 3 peak minor primal core cultivators at the same time. Let's see who wins first. Do you dare to or not?" What a joke. Why wouldn't I dare? As soon as these words were spoken, the entire arena descended into a frenzy. How arrogant. 1 against 3. Furthermore, Jiang Xian was a peak minor primal core cultivator, who was 2 grades higher than Xiao Chun. The most important thing was that Jiang Xian did not consider failure at all. The key to their victory was still to see who could win first. This is crazy. Not only is he fighting 1 against 3, he actually wants to end the battle quickly. The 2 of them are exuding an imposing aura. I wonder if anyone else will step up. Don't worry. They have already won 21 matches in a row. If we defeat them, we will obtain an astronomical amount of spirit jades. There will definitely be people willing to give it a try. Amidst the discussions, 3 old men from each of the 2 arenas flew up one after another. Luonan exclaimed in shock. These 2 people are somewhat horrifying. Can they win? Xiaochen was also a little shocked in his heart. If it were him, it would be a little strenuous for him to fight 1 against 3. A peak minor primal core venerate was not scary. What was scary was that the venerates who dared to go up at this moment were definitely not ordinary people. Without a trump card, no one would rashly go on stage. What kind of holy land was the blessed land for these 2 to be so confident? While Xiaochen was deep in thought, he was also looking forward to it. He wanted to experience the charm of the blessed paradise. Quick bet. I bet that these 2 brats won't be able to hold on. That's right, we've already fought for so long, at least half of our true essence has been consumed. I don't believe that he can defeat 3 peak minor primal core experts. Yes, I'll bet half of my net worth. The 6 of them are all pirate leaders who are much more powerful than Old Monster Lu. Before the battle began, the atmosphere in the dueling ring had reached its peak. Everyone was watching and enthusiastically placing their bets. Xiao Sua pondered and said, "Captain, do you want us to go play as well?" After thinking for a while, Xiaochen said, "Forget it. Small fights are boring. Even if you win too much, they will not let you leave this wrestling ring so easily." Yeah, that's true. The people behind the dueling ring are not people to be trifled with. Boom. An explosion resounded in the dueling ring as a surging shockwave spread out in the air. Wave after wave radiated out in all directions, causing one's heart to palpitate. Indeed, as many of the cultivators who placed their bets expected, Ling Yu and Jiang Xian, who fought 1 against 3, were no longer as relaxed as before. The 6 challengers on the 2 arenas seemed to be quite experienced, and their coordination was flawless. Those with stronger physical defenses focused on delaying Ling Yu and Jiang Xian. After that, the other 2 continuously harassed them, retreating after 1 strike. This was extremely annoying. The challengers on the 2 arenas all used the same strategy. They were rather shameless, continuously delaying and draining the 2's veritable essence energy. No matter what, these 2 geniuses from the Blessed Lands were only early-stage minor primal core cultivators. In the end, these old men, who had lived for hundreds of years, would definitely have purer cultivations. This method was shameless, but the effects were clear. In the arenas, Ling Yu and Jiang Xian frowned heavily, clearly feeling somewhat frustrated. Fight! 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 Take down these 2 and extinguish the pride of these geniuses. The atmosphere in the dueling ring surged. Everyone saw hope of victory. This was especially so for the cultivators who placed their bets. They went crazy, shouting hoarsely. After winning more than 20 matches in a row, these 2 outstanding talents from the Blessed Lands had already pushed the payout rate to an extremely horrifying level. As long as they won, everyone would earn a lot. However, if Ling Yu and Jiang Xian won, the dueling ring would suffer heavy losses, and the rewards for consecutive victories would be even more horrifying. The situation in the arenas did not exceed Xiao Chen's expectations. The three old men who went up to challenge Ling Yu were extremely experienced. These three old men were very experienced, and their coordination was boundless. Xiao Chen suspected that these three old men were nurtured by the wrestling ring itself. They were specially used to snipe those who could obtain consecutive victories. Xiao Chen had experienced such a situation before. Xiao Chen looked up and caught a glimpse. Suddenly, he saw the West Wind Tower's chief manager Ding and a stern old man watching the battle below. Both of them had smiles on their faces. Clearly, the situation was still under control. The reward for consecutive wins after 20 matches. This was something that any dueling ring owner would feel heartache about. It was the nature of merchants to pursue profit. Whoosh! Suddenly, the entire arena erupted in intense cheers. Xiao Chen looked around and discovered that Ling Yu had made a mistake. After getting hit by 2 moves, Ling Yu was forced into a corner, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. On the other side of the arena, Jiang Xian was very cautious. However, he still got hit, and his situation turned bad as well. Incredible! Xiao Chen thought to himself, these three really have a tacit understanding with each other. Furthermore, their combat experience is frightening. Unfortunately, your cultivations are still too low. Otherwise, you might really have the opportunity to be this arrogant, the old man in the arena said with a smile. Is that so? Ling Yu wiped off the blood at the corner of his lips and looked at the blood on his palm. Then he revealed a strange smile. Old man, you are too naive. Ling Yu laughed coldly in the arena. Then he shouted, and a heavy, tyrannical, and murderous aura from the great desolate Aeon surged out from his body. Suddenly, ripples that looked like starlight appeared on Ling Yu's exposed skin. It was like he had turned into a resplendent starry sky, vast and boundless, deep and distant. A layer of faint ripples appeared on Ling Yu's body. It looked like his skin was also like light, looking incredibly strange. At the same time, Jiang Xian, who was at a disadvantage on the other side of the arena, snorted coldly. Black patterns appeared on Jiang Xian's body. The patterns were exquisite and exuded a noble and proud aura, covering his physical body like a suit of armor. A strong aura spread out from the two. The 6 old men in the arenas felt suffocated. A tremor that came from their souls spreading throughout their bodies. Attack! Attack! The 6 old men felt that something was wrong. They endured the pressure and stepped forward bravely. The flood-like attacks drowned the two. However, something strange happened. Miserable cries rang out everywhere. No one could see what was going on. The 6 people who attacked at the same time in the arenas on both sides all went flying back and vomited blood. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless starlights burst out of the arena where Ling Yu was, dazzling everyone. Flickering stars revolved around Ling Yu as he pushed his palm forward. Hundreds of flickering miniature stars shot out like a barrage of cannons. Whoosh! Before the 3 old men in the arena could get hit, the aura that Ling Yu sent out sent the spectators flying, unable to resist at all. Bang! 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 In the next moment, the bones of the 3 old men struck by the starlight gave off cracking sounds as they went flying back. After they fell to the ground, they immediately fainted. On the other side, Jiang Xian was like a great desolate Aeon ferocious beast. He took heavy steps and shook the ground, sending the 3 old men flying. The qi and blood of the 3 old men surged, and their skin tore like spiderwebs. Scarlet blood oozed out, looking extremely horrifying. Rumble! The terrifying auras coming from Jiang Xian and Ling Yu's bodies surged, emitting intense sounds that reverberated throughout the dueling ring. Plop! Plop! Some of the weaker Yang Essence cultivators fell to the ground, unable to speak in unison. Many of the spectators, even those who were at the periphery, felt an inexplicable uneasiness in their souls. Xiao Chen felt his bloodline tremble slightly. His expression could not help but turn grave. These two knew how to activate the Great Desolate Aeon bloodline, and use it as they pleased. Great Desolate Aeon bloodline. It's the Great Desolate Aeon bloodline. Someone exclaimed hoarsely, turning pale with fright. Chapter 1626. The entire arena was shocked and silent. For many people, this was the first time they saw the might of the great desolate Ian bloodline. The instant the power of the bloodline opened, the shock and pressure he brought to everyone would definitely be unforgettable for their entire lives. Through their spreading, the legend of the great desolate Ian bloodline would further influence the world, gradually becoming a mythical existence. To be precise, during the primordial era, tens of thousands of races fought for supremacy. In the beginning, the ancestors of the myriad races were the direct descendants of the gods and devils during the chaotic era. It was not an exaggeration to say that their bloodlines were mythical. Although the pure-blooded untainted land bloodline no longer existed in this era, the little golden crow was an exception. Thump! Thump! The hearts of the various sects and the wandering pirates in the wrestling ring thumped non-stop. The blood in his body contained a power that came from the depths of his soul, causing his bloodline to tremble. The cultivators with weaker cultivations could not resist the two great desolate Ian bloodlines. They were pressed to the ground, unable to get up. It was as if they were worshippers. Moreover, this was only the bloodline of the 10,000 races of the primordial world. It was not the strongest 100 races. In the Great Desolate Era, the 10,000 races fought for supremacy, and the strongest 100 races were selected. Then they smoothly passed into the Epic Era. Their bloodlines were purer, and the power they inherited was stronger and longer. Xiaochen was secretly shocked. However, he was not shocked because of the Great Desolate Ian bloodline in their bodies. Instead, he was amazed at how the other party was able to activate the power of his bloodline, and instantly burst forth with oppressive fighting prowess. Xiaochen could feel the strength of his blue dragon bloodline. This was especially so after the life juice source continuously cleansed it. It was like a boundless treasure trove. But he couldn't use it at all. The benefits of the blue dragon bloodline were that his physical body was slightly stronger, and he could recover his veritable essence energy much faster than ordinary people. There was still a long way to go before it could be truly developed. I don't know when I will be able to activate my bloodline flexibly. Xiaochen muttered to himself. There was a trace of anticipation in his heart, as well as a trace of depression. If it was anyone else, they would probably be unhappy, guarding a pile of treasures but not being able to use them. At the same time, Xiaochen wondered why the blood-soaked dragon emperor's remnant soul in the Kunlun realm did not teach him the method to activate his bloodline after waking up once. Could it be that there were other mysteries behind this? Ha ha ha, who else? Who else dares to challenge me, Ling Yu? In the arena, Ling Yu exuded a tyrannical aura, causing everyone to feel a great pressure. No one dared to speak. Of course, no one dared to go up and humiliate themselves. The manager of the wrestling ring shook his head slightly and waved his hand in displeasure before walking off. On the other side, although the scholarly young man did not say anything, he did not conceal his domineering aura either. That Ling Yu seems to be an outstanding talent of the Black Cave Mountain. I wonder if he knows Senior Yi Zifeng. Xiaochen looked at Ling Xian. They both came from the same blessed land. If Xiaochen could form a connection with Ling Xian, it would be a great opportunity for him. In that case, the Black Cave Mountain ahead of him should be very simple. The other party definitely knew the way to the sect's trans-realm teleportation formation. Xiao. Suddenly, Ling Yu turned his head and met Xiaochen's gaze in the air. His heart skipped a beat. At this moment, the blood in his body circulated rapidly, as if he had met a competitor. The starlight flickering on his body became even more resplendent and dazzling, making people unable to look at him directly. What kind of bloodline power is this? It feels like a bloodline of the Great Desolate Ian's 10,000 races. However, I have never heard of it before. It should be an extremely obscure bloodline of the Great Desolate Ian's 10,000 races. Unexpectedly, Ling Yu managed to meet a competitor in the blink of an eye. However, when Ling Yu saw that Xiaochen was only a half-step primal core cultivator, he immediately lost interest. He turned his head to look at Jiang Xian and asked, Jiang Xian, do you still want to continue? I suddenly feel that this is really pointless. Indeed. Indeed. There are no experts outside the blessed lands. Let's do this then. Let's have another showdown here 7 days from now. Ling Yu smiled. That's exactly what I wanted. Jiang Xian smiled faintly, and a folding fan appeared in his hand. With a gentle wave, he left this place, vanishing from everyone's sight. Ling Yu pushed off with his feet and left the arena at the same time. However, just as Ling Yu was about to leave, he somersaulted in the air and landed in front of Xiaochen. This startled everyone, causing their gazes to land on Xiaochen. What was the background of this young man dressed in white with a calm expression? To think that he could make the outstanding talents of the blessed land stop for him. Might I ask which sect you are from? Or are you from another astral cluster? How come I don't seem to have heard of you before? Ling Yu was somewhat curious about Xiaochen. The 3 blessed lands were not far from each other. The disciples of the 3 blessed lands often competed with each other, so they were rather familiar with each other. Ling Yu was very sure that the 3 blessed lands did not have someone like Xiaochen in his memory. Xiaochen smiled calmly and said, I am Xiaochen. I do not have a master. I am just a wanderer. When Ling Yu heard that, he could not help feeling somewhat disappointed. He had thought that the other party was the disciple of some hidden expert. In that case, even if Xiaochen's cultivation was low and his bloodline was not as noble as Ling Yu's, he could still befriend him. When Xiaochen thought about the Black Cave Mountain, he asked probingly, Sir, do you have time to talk to me alone? Ling Yu thought that Xiaochen was trying to curry favor with him, so he smiled politely and said politely, Sorry, I have to enter closed-door cultivation to prepare for the duel with Jiang Xian. We will talk again if there is a chance. Right after Ling Yu spoke, he turned and left, not giving Xiaochen a chance to continue the conversation. Xiaochen's expression appeared somewhat stunned. However, he soon smiled and let it go. Xiaochen was very clear on Ling Yu's thoughts. In his opinion, there was not much of a problem. With such strength and arrogance, it wasn't a big deal at all. However, Xiaochen was still too young, and did not let Xiaochen finish speaking. Fei Er said unhappily, Big brother Xiaochen, he is brushing you off. When Xiaochen heard that, he could not help smiling. It was rare to see someone as straightforward as Fei Er. Let's go. I am not brushing him off. I do have something to see if I can strike a deal with him. He has his own motives. If he is not willing to say anything to me, then so be it. Xiaochen remained calm, not taking this to heart. If Ling Yu knew that Xiaochen wanted to use the golden life juice source to exchange for a chance to reach the Black Cave Mountain quickly, he would probably regret it so much that his intestines would turn green. Even if he were to shamelessly strike a deal with Xiaochen, he would still want to strike a deal with him. The 4 in Wang Feng's group did not linger, turning to leave. As the people in the wrestling ring looked at Xiaochen's departing figure, they felt that this person was incredible. There were more than 10,000 people here, and many of them had rather high cultivations. However, Ling Yu stopped for this person. Although he did not say much at this point, it was sufficient to prove how extraordinary Xiaochen was. The moment Xiaochen left the wrestling ring, he froze where he stood with a stunned look in his eyes. At the same time, the old man preparing to enter the wrestling ring across Xiaochen was stunned as well. Xiaochen stared blankly for a moment before saying with a smile, What a coincidence to see you again, senior. It's really a small world. It's better to meet by chance than to invite. I'll treat you to a drink as a token of gratitude for saving my life. Yes, the person standing before him was the gray-clothed old man from the School of Imperial Beasts. However, the ones beside him weren't his 2 disciples. They should be good friends or something like that. Xiaochen's cultivation was slightly lower, only an early-stage major primal core cultivator. However, he similarly gave off an extremely strong pressure. The gray-clad old man smiled and said, Indeed, it's a small world. I heard that 2 geniuses from the Blessed Lands came, so I came to take a look. I didn't expect to actually meet you here. What a coincidence. However, I will not drink the wine. Just hand over all your remaining life juice source. The old man secretly sent a voice projection to Xiaochen, not wanting too many people to hear him. Xiaochen smiled. He had risked his life to obtain that life juice source. How could he give it up? Since Senior doesn't want to drink this wine of mine, I won't let you down. In that case, I'll be a senior of noble character and unquestionable integrity. I'm willing to give up. Goodbye. Inside the pirate hall, Xiaochen did not fear the other party attacking him in public. He smiled faintly and led the confused Xiao Suo and the others away calmly. The two old friends of the gray-clad old man were confused as well. My two old friends, can you do me a favor? Feel free to speak your mind. When this brat leaves the pirate hall, we will capture him alive together. Chapter 1627. Captain, what's wrong? Xiao Suo asked quickly. After leaving the wrestling ring, he noticed that something was wrong. Xiaochen replied calmly. That's for when we return. When can our ship be repaired? At least half a month, Xiao Suo answered. Half a month? Xiaochen entered deep thought. Then he said, in that case, we'll stay here for half a month and modify the ship. We are in trouble. A late-stage major primal core cultivator and two early-stage major primal core cultivators were not easy to deal with. After leaving the pirate hall, the other party would definitely seek trouble for Xiaochen. He had to make preparations in advance. This was too coincidental. The moment Xiaochen stepped out of the wrestling ring, he ran into the other party. If that Lingyu from the Grotto Heaven had not spoken to Xiaochen, he would have brushed past the other party. However, fate was sometimes so coincidental. Wang Feng, do you have any way to modify pirate ships in the pirate hall? It is not an official one of the Pirate Alliance but a private one. Xiaochen looked at Wang Feng, who was behind him. When Wang Feng heard Xiaochen call out to him, he felt excited. He thought to himself, I have to make good use of this opportunity. Wang Feng could already tell that this white-clad youth before him was definitely a big customer. As long as he served Xiaochen well, he would definitely benefit greatly. This was a good opportunity to make up for his mistakes. Wang Feng quickly put on a smile and said, I do. In fact, many people from other factions come to the Pirate Alliance to modify their ships. After all, the Pirate Alliance's shipbuilding skills are famous throughout the world. As long as the core formation diagram and some secrets are not leaked, the Pirate Alliance will turn a blind eye to this matter. Many shipbuilders are actually the masters of the Pirate Alliance. They know when to advance and when to retreat. I wonder, what grade does young Master Xiao want? After some thought, Xiaochen asked, there are grades. That is natural. How can there not be grades? You can do as much as you spend. As long as you can pay the right price, I can even find the peak shipbuilders of the Pirate Alliance. Xiaochen nodded and said, in that case, find the best one. What is the price? When Wang Feng heard that, he immediately showed a bitter expression. He seemed to have boasted too much. This. Xiaochen interrupted. Just say that aside from the spirit jades, I can provide you with the life juice source. If the other party does not believe me, you can use this to show them. Wang Feng received a jade bottle and opened it. However, he found that it was empty. However, the lingering aura of the life juice source could not be faked. It could not be faked. Wang Feng's expression changed dramatically, and his heart thumped heavily. He whispered, young Master Xiao, can you take out some life juice source? That would be more convincing. Xiaochen firmly refused. Impossible. You know your own character very well. However, if you do well after this, I can give you at least 2 kilograms of pure life juice source. Chun, he said. Wang Feng with Wang Xiaochen with Chun with, nodded. With Wang Chun said. With Chun. Xiao Chun right. Xiao with Chun with he, Chun. Xiao Feng. Chun said with Xiaochen. Feng. Xiao Chun too. The 2 cold steel eagles had also caught a lot of prey on this trip. The materials of many oceanic ferocious beasts were very valuable. This was a good opportunity to get rid of them. Wang Feng received Xiaochen's list and took a look. His heart immediately thumped heavily, and he became somewhat distracted. This was really a big deal. If he managed to get these deals done, just the middleman fees alone would earn him a lot. Just 1 or 2 of the many natural treasures would be worth half of his fortune. I promise to do this very well and not let down young master's trust. After saying that, Wang Feng quickly left. Right now he was very excited and filled with vigor. Captain, Is this person reliable? He looks shifty-eyed. With one look, I can tell that he is not a very magnanimous person. Xiao Sua frowned and said, he is very meticulous and definitely very crafty. Xiaochen smiled and said, don't worry. He knows his limits and understands the severity of the situation. Xiaochen had already taken this person down a peg with the West Wind Towers matter, letting him know how powerful he was. If Wang Feng dared to play any tricks, he would be tired of living. The most important thing was that Xiaochen believed that the benefits he promised would definitely tempt the other party. Xiaochen changed the topic and looked at Xiao Sua. After today, you will be responsible for taking over with this Wang Feng. There was no need for Xiaochen to persuade Wang Feng to deal with these trivial matters. That would waste too much time. Xiao Sua smiled and said, don't worry. Leave it to me. I have plenty of experience dealing with such people. I guarantee that he will not dare to play any tricks. Xiaochen nodded and looked at Luonan and Fei. Big brother Xiaochen, what instructions do you have? Fei asked softly with a smile. Xiaochen said seriously, I want you to investigate the Blessed Land, the Black Cave Mountain. The more detailed, the better. At the same time, figure out the best route to the Black Cave Mountain from here. It would be best to see if there are any trans-realm transportation formations that we can use. Alright, leave it to me and senior brother. The Black Cave Mountain was Xiaochen's next destination. He needed to make preparations in advance. The preparation work began to be carried out in an orderly manner. As for Xiaochen, he closed his eyes and started cultivating in the inn that he was staying in. He saw the unparalleled berserk and boundlessly tyrannical auras from the great desolate Yin, after Ling Yu and Jiang Xian activated their bloodline powers. A sense of danger welled up in Xiaochen's heart. He finally understood the distance between him and these people. Whether Xiaochen was willing to admit it or not, he did not have much of a chance of victory against the two after they activated their bloodline powers. At best, he had a 50-50 chance. This was even with Xiaochen having many trump cards, grasping great Dao energy, and consuming a lot of life juice source to improve his physical body. There was too little time left for Xiaochen. After all, he had spent the first 20 years of his cultivation in the abandoned land. As for those people, the gap was too great in the blessed land. However, Xiaochen did not give up on himself. If he could cross the hurdle of the half-step primal core realm, and reach the same cultivation as those two, his chances of victory would reach 70%. More importantly, the bloodline power in Xiaochen's body was also a treasure trove. Furthermore, it was even more vast. It was just that he could not find a way to develop it for now. Now that he had accumulated enough, it would only be a matter of time before he soared into the sky. Early the next morning, under Xiao Sua's instructions, everyone on the Black Cutlass got busy again. The crew members were full of enthusiasm. No one had expected that in just a few months, they would be able to make such a great progress. No one had expected that in a few short months, their ship would undergo another modification and become even stronger. Aside from some important news, Xiao Sua, Luonan and Fei would not disturb Xiaochen. They could deal with most of the miscellaneous matters by themselves. 3 days later, it was finally time for a matter that Xiaochen had to deal with personally. After Wang Feng used all his connections, he finally helped Xiaochen invite a Grandmaster shipwright from the Pirate Alliance. Anyone who could obtain the title of Grandmaster in the Pirate Alliance could be considered at the peak. Young hero Xiaochen, this is the Pirate Alliance's Grandmaster Jean. His shipbuilding skills are definitely at the peak in this pirate hall. Many rank 3 sect elders find it very difficult to meet Grandmaster Jean. Wang Feng looked at Xiaochen with a fawning expression as he introduced an unprepossessing old man not far away. Stop sucking up. You are this fellow's master. Let me ask you, do you really have the life juice source? Who knew that Grandmaster Jean did not give Wang Feng any face? He directly looked at Xiaochen and asked rudely. Xiaochen gave Wang Feng a look, and Wang Feng tactfully withdrew. There's no rush. Sir, come and take a look at my ship first. If you have any opinions, you can tell me, Xiaochen said politely with a calm expression. Whether this person was a real Grandmaster or a fake Grandmaster, he had to reveal something. asking for the life juice source the moment he opened his mouth? Xiaochen was not that foolish. Hee. When Grandmaster Jean heard that, he laughed. It looks like it is most likely real. To think that you are still testing me. Very well, I'll go and take a look with you. Chapter 1628. After arriving at the Black Cutlass pirate ship, Xiaochen got all the crew members to disembark. Then he showed Master Jean around the ship. What is below? Are you not going to let me in to take a look? Master Jean asked as he pointed to the entrance. Xiaochen smiled and said, There is no need for that. It was best not to expose the immemorial demon soul formation if possible. Furthermore, Xiaochen did not believe that the other party had the ability to modify the immemorial demon soul formation. Master Jean did not find this strange. After he disembarked, he said, With one look, I can tell that this ship of yours is the work of a great master. The standard of this ship is no lower than mine. In fact, it might even be higher. Xiaochen remained silent. He did not deny it or admit it, letting the other party continue. That person left a lot of room for upgrading the pirate ship. Honestly speaking, it is really a waste for you to invite me over. Xiaochen found this strange, so he asked, What do you mean? Master Jean pointed to the ship and said, The original person who modified it is very experienced. As long as you have sufficient resources and follow his train of thought, you just need to modify it step by step. There is no need to use your brain, understand? No matter how ordinary a shipwright is, they can easily see through it and complete what you want to do. Let me think. I should have heard of all the shipwrights with such skill. Who could it be? As Master Jean chatted, he started to get distracted. Xiaochen quickly interrupted. Are you saying that the original shipwright already fixed the direction of future upgrades? Yes, that's right. That's what I mean. You can just find any shipwright to give the overall command. There is no need for me to handle such a small matter. Xiaochen was greatly startled. Unexpectedly, Senior Gui was so strong. When he thought about the immemorial demon soul formation, it seemed like it had a significant background. After thinking, Master Jean turned around and left, not lingering at all. Xiaochen quickly stepped forward and stopped Master Jean. Master, many thanks for your honesty. However, I would still like to ask you to help modify this pirate ship. Master Jean frowned and asked, Are you sure? Your ship does not need to be modified at all. You just need to follow the other party's train of thought. If you ask me to help, I will not lower the price. My time is very precious. Price is not a problem. Xiaochen smiled. He liked interacting with such honest people. Then he took out a jade bottle containing the silver life juice source. What a pure life juice source. Its quality is at least superior grade. Master Jean opened the bottle cap, and his eyes lit up. Clearly, he had not expected this life juice source to be so pure. Originally, Xiaochen thought that it was just an ordinary life juice source, just purer and free of impurities. If Xiaochen knew that Xiaochen still had the golden life juice source, what would he think? Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Master Jean did not ask Xiaochen how he obtained the life juice source. After thinking for a while, he accepted the jade bottle and said, With this bottle of life juice source, my grandson will be able to break through the bottleneck of the primal core realm. His vitality and physique will also increase by several levels. How about this? I won't take advantage of you. I'll help you prepare the materials you need to level up. I'll give you a 50% discount. Xiaochen performed a cup fist salute and said, In that case, many thanks, Master Jean. Master Jean appeared very satisfied. He smiled and said, That's easy. I'll help you level up to 4-star then. Speed, defense, offensive power, which do you want to focus on? After thinking for a while, Xiaochen said, Speed and defense then. For now, he did not really need offensive power. He mainly wanted to use it for traveling and defending against enemies. After that, they started to discuss the other details, such as what kind of materials to use. Would there be a need for some explosive speed increasing formations? The discussion was a great eye-opener for Xiaochen. Unexpectedly, building a pirate ship was so complicated. Many of the things involved were things that Xiaochen had never heard of. Fortunately, Master Jean patiently explained them to him, allowing him to learn a lot. In that case, I'll take my leave first. I'll bring someone over tomorrow. Master Jean took his leave. After he left, Xiao Sua nearly jumped up in excitement. A 4-star pirate ship. Xiao Sua had never dreamed that he would be able to pilot a 4-star pirate ship one day. All the crew members were incredibly excited as well. Back then, the Golden Setting Sun 3-star pirate ship had caused a huge commotion in Purple Sun City. However, the Black Cutlass had only been modified to 4-star and not purchased from the Pirate Alliance. It still looked rather ordinary. Ordinary people would find it hard to tell with one glance. This was somewhat vexing. However, it suited Xiao Chen's character. I'll leave the rest to you. Whether we can get rid of that late-stage major primal core cultivator or not will depend on this ship, Xiao Chen said as he looked at Xiao Sua. Xiao Sua patted his chest and smiled. Don't worry. There will definitely not be any mistakes. Oh, right, the decryption of the Scarlet Blood pirate flag should be coming out soon. Let me know when the results are out. After another 3 days, Fei came to Xiao Chen's room and reported the news of the 3 blessed lands. Big brother Xiao Chen, I've already scouted out the information. I also found the sailing route. It's been hard on you. Tell me about it. Yes, the 3 blessed lands are not far from each other. In the center of the Grave Sea, that connected sea region is heavily guarded. If one is not a disciple of the Blessed Lands, one will not be able to enter. The spiritual energy of the world in the Blessed Lands is 10 times denser than outside. More than 23rd grade sects and a small number of 4th grade sects were stationed in each blessed abode. The rank 3 sects in there are several times stronger than the rank 3 sects in the outside world. There is simply no comparison. Simply put, that place is an aloof holy land. To outsiders, they can only watch from afar. After hearing that, Xiao Chen frowned. He had not thought of this. To think that the blessed lands did not even give outsiders a chance to enter. How was Xiao Chen supposed to get in touch with Yi Zifeng? Big brother Xiao Chen, perhaps that Ling Yu has a way, Fei whispered. Xiao Chen shook his head and said indifferently, there is no need. That person is too arrogant. If we go looking for him, we will only humiliate ourselves. You can leave first. I'll think of a way. Right. Upon seeing Xiao Chen frown and knowing that she could not help the other party, Fei left unhappily. Xiao Chen toyed with an engraved card in his hand. Then he raised his head and revealed a contemplative expression. The West Wind Tower's Ding Yuan. This person might have a chance of getting Xiao Chen into the Blessed Lands. Holding the engraved card, Xiao Chen entered the West Wind Tower again, and received preferential treatment. A pretty maidservant with a graceful figure led Xiao Chen to the highest floor of the tower. In the VIP room, Ding Yuan was still slowly brewing tea. When he saw Xiao Chen arrive, he smiled and said, "What's wrong? You want to go to the wrestling ring and earn a lot of money?" Xiao Chen sat down and received a cup of tea that the other party handed to him. After taking a sip, he said, "This tea is pretty good. If I can obtain consecutive victories and lose one more time, Chief Manager Ding will definitely feel even better." Ding Yuan laughed loudly and said, "You know quite a lot, unlike those 2 geniuses from the Blessed Lands. They are so cocky that their tails are about to reach the sky. No matter how much I advise them, they will not listen. How about it? You win 20 consecutive victories, and then we fight for 21. Xiao Chen put down his teacup and said calmly, "That's a pretty good suggestion. However, I came to look for you because I have something else to discuss." Upon hearing that, the smile on Ding Yuan's face vanished. He said indifferently, "I'm only interested in business. If there is nothing else, let's drink some tea. Consider it an apology for what happened back then." "I came to look for you because of a business deal." "Oh, what kind of business?" Ding Yuan asked casually, his interest piqued. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Send me into the Black Cave Mountain, and I'll give you sufficient compensation. Are you interested in this business deal?" Ding Yuan smiled and said, "Let's just drink some tea." "I don't have that ability. You overestimate me. I know you don't have that ability, but you should know someone who does." Xiao Chen enunciated every word as he calmly analyzed. With your strength and status, you should already be able to come into contact with such an existence. Ding Yuan's expression turned grave. He looked at Xiao Chun and said, "It looks like you are serious. I do indeed know such a person. However, I'm sorry, I cannot trust you. Even if you give me a high compensation, I cannot help you." Trust, this was a big problem. If Xiao Chun did something disrespectful in the Blessed Land, Ding Yuan would not be able to escape responsibility. That would definitely be a dead end. No matter how big the business was, it was not as important as his life. Since Ding Yuan did not trust Xiao Chun, no matter how Xiao Chun explained, Ding Yuan would not believe him. The problem of trust was indeed somewhat unsolvable. Just as Xiao Chun felt that he had reached a dead end, he glanced around and noticed the string of Buddhist prayer beads in Ding Yuan's right hand. It was a string of Buddhist prayer beads made of small red sandalwood. The surface of the Buddhist prayer beads was smooth and round, giving off a spiritual glow. Under the illumination of the lamps in the room, the Buddhist prayer beads reflected a faint light, looking exceptionally bright. Xiao Chun's heart skipped a beat. After a long time, the wooden Buddhist prayer beads would turn from purple to black. This was unavoidable. Unless a true devotee of Buddhism played with them every day and wiped away the dirt, the Buddhist prayer beads would remain bright for a long time. Only then would the Buddhist prayer beads remain bright for a long time, preventing the golden stars on the Buddhist prayer beads from being covered by the dirt. Xiao Chun revealed a smile. He knew how to resolve the problem of trust. Chapter 1629. Xiao Chun took a sip of tea and put down the teacup. Then he looked at Ding Yuan and asked, "Chief Manager Ding, are you a member of the Buddhist sect?" "Not really. When I was young, I spent some time in a Buddhist sect. Now that I have returned to the secular world, I am just a businessman." Ding Yuan's tone was calm, not showing much fluctuation in his emotions. However, Xiao Chun did not care. For Ding Yuan to be able to cultivate to the late-stage major primal core realm in that Buddhist sect, he must have lived there for a long time. Furthermore, his comprehension ability was very deep. Not just anyone could reach the late-stage major primal core realm. Xiao Chun said, "Although you have returned to the secular world, I believe that Chief Manager Ding still has Buddha in your heart. Your heart toward Buddha has never changed." A light flashed in Ding Yuan's eyes as he smiled without showing it. "Why do you say that?" Just based on the string of Buddhist prayer beads in Chief Manager Ding's hand, if not for his firm heart toward Buddha, how could he wipe it every night, sweeping away the dirt and dirt? "Your observation skills are pretty good. I was already used to wiping the Buddhist prayer beads every night when I was young. However, what exactly are you trying to say by telling me all this? There's no need to beat around the bush. Just say it directly." Ding Yuan also put down his teacup and looked at Xiao Chun, gesturing for him to speak. Xiao Chun said with a serious expression, "The problem of trust that Chief Manager Ding mentioned is indeed a difficult one. I have met you no more than 3 times. You should not have a reason to trust me." Ding Yuan nodded. "That's right. I cannot possibly take risks for someone I have only met a few times. If you go to the Blessed Land and steal secret manuals, and do something disrespectful, I will definitely die. In that case, I'll tell Chief Manager Ding now. You can rest assured." Xiao Chun removed the Buddhist pendant on his chest. With a thought, the black lotus mark on his chest appeared. The black lotus flowers formed a complicated Buddhist seal. Ding Yuan's expression changed slightly as he muttered, "The Black Lotus Church's Black Lotus Holy Seal." Pussy. The moment the black lotus mark appeared, Xiao Chun quickly made it disappear. Then he put on the Buddhist pendant and suppressed it again. "It looks like Chief Manager Ding recognizes this seal." Ding Yuan showed a grave expression. As he looked at Xiao Chun, some doubt flashed in his eyes. "Naturally, I recognize the Black Lotus Holy Mark. The person who planted the Black Lotus Holy Mark will not be able to escape the pursuit of the Black Lotus Church. However, why are you being chased by the Black Lotus Church? Who did you offend?" Xiao Chun said indifferently, "You don't have to worry about this. I entered the Blessed Land because there are seniors there who can protect me and help me escape the pursuit of the Black Lotus Church. With this Black Lotus seal, Steward Ding should be able to trust me. I will never do anything that will implicate Steward Ding. Ding Yuan's eyes flickered as he said in a deep voice, "All right, I'll believe you for the time being. But you have to tell me what you can pay me." Give what? Xiaochen definitely could not give him the golden life juice source. The temptation was too great. The other party would definitely take the risk out of desperation, directly killing him and searching his body. Xiaochen was already targeted by a gray-clad late-stage major primal core old man. He did not want to be targeted by this Ding Yuan as well. However, the silver life juice source did not seem to be enough to tempt the other party. If you want to tempt me, you will need to take out 1 million medial-grade spirit jades or natural treasures or profound tools of equal value, Ding Yuan said unhurriedly. His appetite was very big. Right now, Xiaochen only had 1 million medial-grade spirit jades at the very most. How could he give it all to Ding Yuan? Fortunately, Xiaochen had already thought of how to deal with this. Xiaochen said indifferently, "I'll give you a promise." Ha ha ha. What a joke. What is the point of your promise? Whoosh. Right after Xiaochen spoke, his eyes released a golden light, and the great desolate divine eyes instantly appeared. A fear that reached the depths of the soul spread out in Ding Yuan's mind. He felt immense pressure. Boom. The string of Buddhist prayer beads in Ding Yuan's hand gave off a bright light. At the crucial moment, a wall of light filled with scriptures appeared, blocking Xiaochen's vision. Ding Yuan gently pushed back, moving back several meters along with the stool he was sitting on, putting some distance between him and Xiaochen. Now, Ding Yuan had already taken out the Buddhist prayer beads in his hand and dangled them in his palm. Then he slowly moved the beads with his thumb. His body emitted layers of faint Buddhist might, enveloping the entire room in layers of Buddhist might. After a while, the wall of light vanished and Xiaochen's great desolate divine eyes vanished as well. However, Ding Yuan had already put some distance between him and Xiaochen, no longer getting so close. In that instant earlier, Ding Yuan had already felt a threat to his life. Even if the other party's great desolate Ian bloodline was not in the top 100, it was not far from it. Otherwise, how could the other party release such a piercing great desolate divine eyes? In that instant, he almost lost control of his soul. I really misjudged you. What kind of great desolate Ian bloodline do you have? Ding Yuan asked. Right now, the dragon race only had 6 bloodlines. The blue dragon bloodline had been eliminated long ago. Hence, Ding Yuan did not know what kind of bloodline Xiaochen had. Ding Yuan vaguely felt that it was similar to the dragon race bloodline. However, none of the 6 bloodlines of the dragon race resembled Xiaochen's bloodline. Xiaochen said calmly, "Everyone has their own secrets. Sorry, Chief Manager Ding." Ding Yuan felt slightly stunned. Then he smiled and said, "That's true. This is your secret, so I won't ask too much." Good. In that case, I'll accept your promise. I hope you won't disappoint me. The divine eyes opened, and the bloodline appeared. Xiaochen used the blue dragon bloodline to prove his value and potential. Ding Yuan thought about it for a while before accepting Xiaochen's condition. If Xiaochen fell in the future, this condition would be worthless. However, if Xiaochen became a Cloud Sea powerhouse or even higher, the value of this promise would be immeasurable. The value of this promise was immeasurable. It was the nature of merchants to take risks and gamble. This was especially so for Ding Yuan. Ding Yuan did not hesitate at all, agreeing to Xiaochen's condition. Go back first and wait for my news. After I get through all my connections, I will send someone to inform you. Xiaochen stood up and said, "In that case, many thanks. This is my first visit. This is just a small token of my appreciation." Leaving behind a jade bottle containing the silver life juice source, Xiaochen performed a cupped fist salute and left. After Xiaochen left, Ding Yuan opened the bottle cap and saw what was inside. Ding Yuan revealed a smile on his face, feeling even more confident about Xiaochen's future. The last bit of doubt in Ding Yuan's heart vanished. Men, contact the profound cloud sex elder Lu. Ding Yuan immediately took action. In the following days, the various preparations continued in an orderly fashion. The black cutlass's repairs and improvements were nearly complete. After Luo Nan and Fei learned that they did not have to worry about not being able to enter the Blessed Land, they started to deal with the problems that might occur along the route. He started to deal with the possible problems that might occur on the flight route, sitting and making predictions in advance. Under Master Jin's command, Xiao Suo led the crew to help modify and upgrade the Black Cutlass. Without needing to worry about the various miscellaneous matters, Xiaochen continued to stabilize his cultivation. He digested the various benefits that the life juice source brought him. Vaguely, he felt that he had already touched the bottleneck of the primal core realm. In Xiaochen's Dantian, his yang essence energy and yin essence energy mix with his veritable essence energy, forming a perfect Taiji diagram. That lifelike Taiji diagram was like a picturesque ink painting. It formed an unbreakable balance between the 10,000-year-old baleful yin energy and the heavenly yang pill, two kinds of incredibly berserk and horrifying energies. In the past, when those disciples consumed the heavenly yang pill, their bodies would definitely not explode and die. The yin and yang energies in Xiaochen's body were even more perfectly balanced than those of primal core cultivators. There was no need to worry about yin and yang losing balance, chaotic energy, or an explosion. The most important thing was that Xiaochen's physical body had been continuously cleansed by the life juice source. His physique was already as strong as a major primal core venerates. Even if Xiaochen exploded, his bones would not shatter, and he would not die on the spot. At most, he would faint and be severely injured. In the blink of an eye, Xiaochen stayed in this pirate hall for a month. After the Black Cutlass was completely remodeled, Xiaochen thanked Master Jin. Then he got his brothers, who had been busy for a long time, to go and rest first. Xiaochen went alone to the most mysterious room on the second floor of the Black Cutlass. A strange formation plate floated quietly in the center of the sinister immemorial demon soul formation, filled with evil qi. Xiaochen discovered that 1.5 pearls around the neck of the great desolate Ian ferocious beast, the Yazi beast, were already lit up. The difficulty of lighting up the pearls was even greater than Xiaochen had imagined. The cold steel eagles fed on the blood of ferocious beasts every day were still unable to satiate their appetite. The main reason was that the Yazi beast's appetite had become increasingly picky. After lighting up one pearl, a minor primal core ferocious beast was of little use. Even now the pearls were useless. Only major primal core ferocious beasts could continue to light up the pearls. After leaving the pirate hall, Xiaochen would meet the gray-clad old man from the beast governing sect. While he did not fear this, Xiaochen did not want anything unexpected to happen. He needed to ensure that nothing went wrong and that everything was under his control. Taking out a small knife, Xiaochen made a small cut on his palm. A drop of blood slowly fell below the formation. Before the blood landed in the formation, the entire immemorial demon soul formation started moving restlessly. A scarlet light spread out, an evil qi filled the air. An illusory Yazi beast demon soul appeared in the blood mist. When it saw the blood falling, it smiled sinisterly, and a sinister look flashed in its eyes. Chapter 1630. Pusi. When that drop of blood landed in the immemorial demon soul formation, a dense scarlet light spread throughout the entire compartment. Excited roars came from within the formation, and they kept on making strange noises. Before Xiaochen could adapt to this environment, he saw a shadow come out of the scarlet light, opening its huge mouth and biting at him. Intense pain came from the depths of his soul. Xiaochen held his forehead as he took a big step back. He felt like his soul energy had been bitten. As he looked at this immemorial demon soul formation, he could not help feeling horrified. What an evil formation, Xiaochen thought to himself. Fortunately, I expected it. I only used 1 drop of blood. Otherwise, who knows what the consequences would be. Whoosh! When all the scarlet light was absorbed into the formation, Xiaochen could clearly see 2 scarlet pearls lit up at the core of the formation plate. Before lighting up the pearls, the Yazi beast demon soul was already as strong as an early-stage major primal core cultivator. Now it should be as strong as a peak major primal core cultivator. Xiaochen thought for a while. Given this, he would be absolutely safe when dealing with that gray-clad old man from the beast governing sect. After all, That was a rank 3 sect elder. Who knew what trump cards he had? It was best to be safe. After leaving the compartment, Xiaochen discovered that Xiao Sua was still on the deck, not having left yet. Xiao Sua, you have been busy for a month. Why are you not resting? Xiaochen asked out of curiosity. During the past month, Xiao Sua had led the crew to work day and night. That was how they managed to upgrade the Black Cutlass to a 4-star pirate ship in an extremely short time. Xiao Sua smiled and said, "Hee. I'm not tired. Looking at the treasures on the ship, I feel excited. Furthermore, with my current physique, this bit of fatigue is nothing." "Captain, take a look. This is a modified 4-star ballista." "Captain, although you said that you didn't want any attack power, although Captain said that you do not need any offensive power, Grandmaster Jean is very kind. These are the best of a regular 4-star pirate ship. One ballista bolt can easily pierce through a major primal core venerate's veritable essence energy shield. However, we have to use specially made ballista bolts. Of course, ordinary ballista bolts are quite powerful as well." Xiao Sua pointed at the 16 ballista towers above the cabin and introduced them to Xiaochen. At first, Xiaochen did not pay much attention to it, but after a while he felt a little shocked. There were 16 ballista towers, and each tower had 4 top-grade 4-star ballistae, for a total of 64 ballistae. 64 peak 4-star ballistae fired in the same direction at the same time. Caught off guard, the sky was filled with deadly ballista bolts. That scene was truly unimaginable. Even Xiaochen himself felt a little scared. At the very least, he didn't dare to force his way in. Then, he pulled Xiaochen over and pointed to the sides of the Black Cutlass. There are 18 cannons on each of the 2 sides. They are all 4-star Neptune's Rage ancient demonic energy cannons. Xiaochen knew about the Neptune's Rage. It was a demonic energy cannon specially made by a Grandmaster blacksmith of the Pirate Alliance. There were a total of 9 levels, corresponding to the 9 stars of pirate ships. Each level was further divided into low, standard, and top. These were the ancient demonic energy cannons that inspired fear in people. The name Neptune's Rage lived up to its name. It had to be said that the Pirate Alliance did indeed have a group of geniuses and strange people. They were simply too incredible. No wonder the Pirate Alliance could survive for so long, with no one daring to target it. The things that the Pirate Alliance revealed were already so incredible. Just how powerful were the treasures that only the Pirate Alliance kept? This was simply unimaginable. Hee. Captain, even a 4-star captain would find it very difficult to buy these. Grandmaster Jean is really generous. He is also an honest person and does not like owing favors to others. When mentioning Grandmaster Jean, Xiao Sua was full of praise. Xiaochen also felt surprised. It looked like he had not given the wrong person that bottle of golden life juice source. Grandmaster Jean even helped us strengthen the Dark Knight Bewildering formation, directly dismantling the defensive formation and rearranging it into a 4-star one. In addition, he also helped us add an explosive acceleration formation. When Xiaochen heard that, he rejoiced. Grandmaster Jean simply understood him too well. "That's right. You have said so much. How many spirit jades do you have left that I gave you?" Xiao Sua had sought out Xiaochen several times for spirit jades because he needed to remodel the pirate ship. Later, Xiaochen found it troublesome, so he used the natural treasures that Senior Jiao Snake left to exchange for the spirit jades, as well as his own wealth, to Xiao Sua. Xiaochen did not keep account, but when added up, there should be at least 1 or 2 million medial-grade spirit jades. That was about 200 million medial-grade spirit jades. The spirit herbs that could catch the eye of Senior Jiao Snake were at least 3,000 years old. That batch of treasures was extremely valuable. Upon hearing this question, Xiao Sua smiled and said, "That's all." "What? That's all?" Xiaochen was startled when he heard that. How could 200 million medial-grade spirit jades be gone just like that? After all, at the Purple Sun City's auction, Xiaochen could sweep through everyone with just 100,000 medial-grade spirit jades, pressuring others to the point that they could not breathe. It was enough to see that it was a huge amount of wealth. Now he had become a pauper again. Xiao Sua smiled embarrassedly and said, "It's really gone." Originally, there were still some left. However, the various formations of the pirate ship require spirit jades to activate. I also need to have enough spare spirit jades, so they're all gone. Seeing that Xiao Chen's expression was still not good, Xiao Suo thought for a while and said, "How about I go to the nodes of the formation and dig them out? I should be able to dig some out." Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "Good idea. Go ahead and dig them out one by one." Seeing Xiao Chen laugh, Xiao Suo also laughed. "Captain, I'm just joking. Don't worry, you won't lose anything, Captain. Right now the black cutlass looks ordinary. However, once it bared its fangs, the black cutlass would be extremely powerful. Even a peak 4-star pirate ship could easily crush an ordinary 4-star pirate ship. Ordinary 5-star pirate ships would have to think twice before attacking us." Xiao Chen wasn't really angry. He just liked the feeling of being rich and imposing. Now that he was penniless, it was hard for him to not get used to it. However, Xiao Chen's mental state was good. He quickly accepted it and could deal with it calmly. Xiao Chen had experienced many ups and downs in the Kunlun realm. His cultivation had once regressed, leaving him with nothing. Even if it was the worst result, how bad could it be for Xiao Chen? "Captain, when are we setting out to sea?" Xiao Suo asked somewhat impatiently. Xiao Suo was already armed to the teeth. He could no longer remain idle. "Wait a little longer." These words made Xiao Chen frown somewhat worriedly. The West Wind Tower's Ding Yuan still had not sent any news. This was not good news. After waiting for another 7 days, just as Xiao Chen's patience was about to run out, Ding Yuan finally informed him to go to the West Wind Tower. "Brother Xiao Chen, sorry for making you wait for too long," Ding Yuan said to Xiao Chen with a smile on his face as he brewed tea. Xiao Chen immediately calmed down. Based on Chief Manager Ding's appearance, the matter should be settled. "Yes. The Blessed Land is open to the public only once every 3 years and accepts disciples. The last time it was open to the public was not long ago. Originally, you should have to wait another 3 years before you can enter the Blessed Land." Xiao Chen continued. However, Chief Manager Ding already found a way for this little fellow to enter midway. "That's right. I used a lot of connections to help you obtain a recommendation letter. With the recommendation letter, you can enter the Blessed Land and choose which sect you want to join. Of course there is a test. However, given little brother Xiao Chen's strength, the test should not be a problem." As he spoke, Ding Yuan passed a recommendation letter over to Zhang Xian. Xiao Chen casually received it. This was just an ordinary recommendation letter. The contents were also very ordinary. However, the words gave Xiao Chen a sense of pressure, nearly causing him to stumble. Every word contained a pressure that came from the soul. The strokes were very forceful, showing off their sharpness and a boundless aura. Xiao Chen found it somewhat unbearable. After taking a look, he quickly closed the letter. "This is personally written by a Cloud Sea powerhouse." Xiao Chen looked at Ding Yuan in shock. Ding Yuan nodded and said, "The Cloud Sea realm is an unfathomable realm. With one thought, they can injure others. With one word, they can suppress a major primal core venerate." As Xiao Chen held this heavy recommendation letter, he knew that the matter was settled. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Many thanks, Chief Manager Ding." Ding Yuan smiled casually and said, "There's no need to thank me. I'm just a businessman. Remember, you owe me a promise." For some reason, every time Xiao Chen heard Ding Yuan say that he was a businessman, he felt strange. Perhaps the other party was not as simple as Xiao Chen made him out to be. At the very least, this recommendation letter was not simple. "I will engrave it in my heart and not forget it. We will meet again." Chapter 1631. After leaving the West Wind Tower, Xiao Chen gathered all the members of the Black Cutlass pirate group. "Tomorrow we will leave the pirate hall." This place was just a relay station on his way to the Blessed Lands. Originally, he should have left long ago. Now that everything was ready, especially with the most important recommendation letter, it was time to depart. "Great. I can't wait any longer. Captain, where are we going?" "One of the 3 blessed lands of the Grave Sea, the Black Cave Mountain," Fei said after some thought. If we depart tomorrow, doesn't that mean we are leaving together with the outstanding talents of those two blessed lands? Ling Yu and Jiang Xian fought 7 matches in a row. Each match ended in a draw. Every match was very exciting, causing a huge commotion in the entire pirate hall. Because of these two, countless experts came to watch the many palaces of the pirate city. One could say that the popularity of the entire pirate hall reached its peak because of these two. 3 days ago, the two had agreed to come back and compete again 1 year later. That was also tomorrow. Xiao Chen said indifferently. It does not have much to do with us. There is no need to bother about it. Early the next morning, the entrance of the pirate hall was packed with people. The people who came to send Jiang Xian and Ling Yu off surrounded them. As the two looked at the large group of people sending them off, they were in high spirits, their faces filled with smiles. This was the so-called proud sons of heaven, achieving success at a young age. Brother Jiang and I appreciate each other. It can be said that no discord, no concord. Everyone, don't worry. We will definitely meet again next year. Ling Yu performed a cupped fist salute in all directions. Jiang Xian also revealed a smile as he said softly, "Let's part here. Everyone, there is no need to send us off. This is a true outstanding talent, a young hero. Their future is limitless. It's a blessing to be able to witness so many exciting battles in my lifetime." As the crowd watched the two turn around, they did not shift their gazes away. Clearly, Jiang Xian and Ling Yu, two outstanding talents with great desolate Ian bloodlines, shocked these people greatly, inspiring respect from the bottom of their hearts. Not far away, at the mouth of the sea below the entrance of the pirate hall, an inconspicuous pirate ship was sailing with its sails raised. On the highest observation deck of the cabin stood a white figure, facing the first ray of dawn as he sailed towards the vast sea. His body exuded a tranquil aura. It was as if he had isolated the world from all the hustle and bustle, becoming one with the world. Jiang Xian and Ling Yu walked on the road, chatting and laughing as they chatted about some things. Suddenly, Jiang Xian's gaze caught a glimpse of Xiao Chun, who was standing in the wind on the black cutlass. Her gaze paused for a moment before she softly said, "It's him." Jiang Xian looked at her curiously. "What's wrong? Is this the person you mentioned to me? The white-clad youth with the great desolate Ian bloodline who wants to curry favor with you?" Ling Yu nodded. "Yes. However, his cultivation is not high, and he is older than you and me. I don't belong to any sect, and I'm all alone. How is it worth making friends with? I refuse." Jiang Xian smiled and said, "Brother Ling, you can't compare everyone to us. That's unfair to them. Among ordinary people, they are already dazzling enough to be proud of." "That's true. Haha. It's my fault." The hustle and bustle slowly died down. Before the eyes of the entire city, Jiang Xian and Ling Yu left in high spirits. In a direction that no one was paying attention to, that pirate ship also drifted further and further away. However, many years later, when everyone discussed this matter, they only remembered that they brushed shoulders with the Dragon Emperor Xiao Chen and regretted it for life. They could not remember the geniuses from the two blessed lands at all. The instant the black cutlass left the pirate hall's perimeter, a gray-clad old man leading 2 late-stage major primal core venerates stood on a huge tortoise beast, revealing a cold smile. This gray-clad old man was none other than the beast's governing sect's elder. The temptation of the highest quality life juice source was simply too great. In the past month, the gray-clad old man had used all the strength he could, setting up various spots around the pirate hall. As long as Xiao Chen appeared, he would immediately be discovered. "Brat, I thought that you would hide in there forever." "After him." The gray-clad old man shouted coldly, and the tortoise beast under his feet chased after Xiao Chen's pirate ship at lightning speed. The strange speed did not match the tortoise beast's huge body. "Captain, that old bastard indeed did not leave. He is standing on a small tortoise beast and is giving chase. Should we shake them off?" Melancholy curses came from the control room. Up on the lookout tower, Xiao Chen sat calmly on the cycle throne. He said calmly, "That tortoise beast is not simple. It will not be easy to shake them off. Find a desolate sea region and deal with them." "Yes, Captain. Little friend Whiteclad, we meet again." The tortoise beast gradually closed the distance between them. The gray-clad old man revealed a smile as he felt that victory was in his grasp. Xiaochen said indifferently, "Indeed. However, this time, it is not a coincidence." "Humph. Cut the crap. Hand over the life juice source, and I will spare you from death. I will also write off the matter of you killing 2 of my beast governing sex cold steel eagles. This is my bottom line. Think about it yourself." The gray-clad old man exuded the strong aura of a late-stage major primal core cultivator. His voice was deafening like thunder. An incomparably berserk and terrifying storm kicked up on the surface of the sea. The sky immediately turned gloomy and overcast. What a strong aura! Feeling the old man's aura, the crew of the Black Cutlass were all startled, sucking in a breath of cold air. Just his aura alone could kick up such a huge storm. This gray-clad old man was indeed incredible. However, to the gray-clad old man's surprise, the not-so-huge Black Cutlass sailed steadily amid the strong wind and waves, not shaking at all. This pirate ship is somewhat unusual. The 2 major primal core venerates behind were flabbergasted, viewing the Black Cutlass in a different light. The gray-clad old man smiled coldly and said, "I thought that after preparing for a month, it would not be very capable. It turns out that they strengthened the pirate ship. I'll deal with this ship. The 2 of you charge over and kill all the other crew members, aside from the white-clad man." The 2 early-stage major primal core experts boarded the pirate ship. It would be easy for them to deal with a group of young essence core and minor primal core experts. The gray-clad old man's entire body surged with veritable essence energy, and his body exuded a terrifying aura. Then he ferociously threw a palm strike. Boom! A huge wave appeared out of nowhere on the surface of the sea. The entire pirate ship was tossed high into the air, and its speed completely slowed. Now, murderous intent flashed on the faces of the 2 early-stage major primal core venerates behind the gray-clad old man. They soared into the air, preparing to take the opportunity to snatch the ship. "Captain, 2 major primal core experts are here," Xiao Sua said somewhat anxiously in the control room. Up on the observation deck, Xiaochen observed for a while before saying calmly, "All brothers in the tower, heed my orders. Change the 4-star ballistae to the special ballistae, and aim them at the old man on the right." Xiaochen's calm voice rang out, calming all the brothers on the ship. "Yes, Captain." All the crew members in the tower answered in unison. Creak, creak. The many ballistae in the tower silently changed directions, and locked on to the old man charging over from the right. The unremarkable pirate ship in midair landed on the surface of the sea with a loud bang. The 2 old men finally appeared within range of the 4-star ballistae. However, Xiaochen did not give any orders. Everyone held their breath and did not act rashly. On the tortoise beast, the gray-clad old man revealed a smile. He could already see a bloody scene. The 2 major primal core venerates slaughtered everyone on the ship. No one could stop them. "Fire!" Xiaochen's order finally came from the observation deck, carrying a chill into the ears of all the brothers in the tower. Whoosh! 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 There were 64 ballistae, each equipped with 8 ballistae. They could fire 4 at a time. Immediately, a rain of ballistae filled the air like venomous snakes, coldly and mercilessly shooting out. The special ballistae were expensive, but they were very effective. Before the old man on the right could even scream, he turned into a hornet's nest. Splash! The old man fell into the seawater, corroded by the starry sea until nothing was left. A living major primal core venerate died on the spot, just like that. The other old man was completely frightened silly. He froze in midair, not daring to believe what just happened. Chapter 1632. How can it be like this? The gray-clad old man on the tortoise beast was startled. He had not expected this at all. Originally, he thought that victory was in the bag, something extremely easy. However, in nearly one breath, an early-stage major primal core venerate died. This was an old friend that the gray-clad old man had known for decades. "Senior Huang, come back. That ship is somewhat strange." The gray-clad old man shouted to the other old man on the other side. Without needing the gray-clad old man to say anything, the other old man had already been frightened into losing his courage long ago. He quickly retreated. In reality, if the gray-clad old man had not retreated, this would have been a great opportunity to board the ship. Under Xiao Chen's command, the 64 ballistae had already emptied their ballista bolts. Reloading the ballistae would take at least 3 seconds, more than enough for the gray-clad old man to charge over. Normally, the commander would prepare 2 rounds of attacks. After the first round, the second round would follow, and the first round would be ready as well. Therefore, the 4-star giant crossbows in the towers could continuously shoot out bolts. However, Xiao Chen took a risk and got the 64 ballistae to fire at the same time. The facts proved that Xiao Chen's gamble paid off. The specially made ballista bolts instantly killed the major primal core venerate on the spot. Indeed, as Xiao Chen expected, the other old man was frightened silly. On the watchtower, Xiao Chen revealed a cold smile. Advance at full speed. Xiao Suo, prepare your best move. Captain, just watch me. On the huge tortoise beast, the gray-clad old man and Senior Huang discussed countermeasures. Suddenly, a huge wave surged in front, and a black pirate ship tore through the waves like a sharp knife. Oh no, they are charging over. Senior Huang showed a startled expression. Clearly, he had not expected Xiao Chen and the others to be so bold. These people were all major primal core cultivators. This was especially so for the gray-clad old man, a peak late-stage major primal core expert. You are seeking death. The gray-clad old man trembled in anger. To think that these people were so bold to be so arrogant. Gurgle, gurgle. Bubbles appeared in the starry sea. Then the huge tortoise beast, with only its shell exposed, suddenly floated to the surface. When it completely floated out of the water, it realized that the turtle shell that it revealed was only the tip of the iceberg. The giant tortoise beast that truly appeared on the surface of the water looked as large as a small mountain. Xiao Suo, it's up to you now. Ha ha ha, got it, Captain. Xiao Chen wasn't intimidated by the tortoise beast. Seeing that the tortoise beast was preparing to attack, he decisively chose to make the first move. Xiao. The black cutlass pirate ship spun around on the surface of the sea, moving horizontally. The 2 elders did not understand what was going on. Kacha, kacha. Kacha sounds came from the side of the ship as cannons protruded out like ferocious beasts baring their fangs. Top 4-star, Neptune's Fury. The gray-robed old man was experienced and knowledgeable. When he saw the 18 turrets, his face turned pale. If Xiao Chen had known that this pirate ship contained so many Neptune's rages, he would not have dared to get so close to the black cutlass. He would definitely go as far as he could, and he would not have any designs on Xiao Chen. Fire! Xiao Chen ordered expressionlessly. The 16-peak 4-star Neptune's rages fired out black, ancient demonic energy cannons at the same time. Every black, ancient demonic energy cannon spun intensely, containing berserk energy compressed to the limit. After special processing by the Pirate Alliance's refiners, these ancient demonic energy cannons could easily flatten a small mountain. At the crucial moment, the tortoise beast roared, and an overwhelming wave appeared in front of it, forming a thick wall of water. Boom! One ancient demonic energy cannon exploded on the surface of the wall of water. Then a second, a third, and then 16 all exploded at the same time. It was like the sea god was raging. The sky turned dark, and the huge explosions shook the surrounding 500 kilometers, temporarily deafening everyone. The overwhelming wave instantly evaporated, and a huge energy wave spread out. The gray-robed old man and Senior Huang were immediately knocked back, vomiting a mouthful of blood. With such a huge shockwave, there was no way to dodge. The 2 immediately got on the tortoise beast and fled frantically. Fire! Xiao Chen said mercilessly with a stern expression. Boom! A deafening sound rang out again. It was like the roar of thunder, frightening everyone and discouraging them from fighting. Without the obstruction of the waves, the might of the Neptune's rages this time was even more ferocious, and its range was even greater. Bang! 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 Every time a cannonball landed on the surface of the sea, it kicked up an overwhelming wave that soared into the clouds. The huge energy explosion flattened the surface of the sea, creating many huge pits. Then it formed a whirlpool, stirring up overwhelming waves. The sea looked incredibly chaotic. Strong winds howled, tornadoes howled, waves surged and explosions rang out endlessly. The horrifying scene before them looked like the sea god raging. The gray-robed old man and Senior Huang ran frantically, not caring about anything else. They only wanted to quickly escape the range of the Neptune's rages. Their hearts were filled with incomparable fear. Without the obstruction of the waves, this wave of Neptune's Fury's cannonballs was much stronger than before. The gray-robed old man was still fine. His foundation was not damaged. However, the yellow-robed old man was riddled with wounds. His complexion was pale, and he looked incredibly weak. "Senior Tang, save me." When Senior Huang saw the gray-robed old man getting further and further away, he cried out hoarsely, feeling despair and pain. The gray-robed old man ignored Senior Huang. He was only a few steps away from leaving the range of the Neptune's rages. How could he be so foolish as to return and bring along a burden? "You tricked me." Senior Huang roared in dissatisfaction. Regret and hatred filled his heart, hating himself for being careless in making friends. "Fire!" Senior Huang's sorrowful roar did not elicit any sympathy from Xiaochen. Xiaochen gave the order without any pity. Boom! Amid the sky full of cannonballs, Senior Huang, who could not escape the range of the Neptune's rages, got buried on the spot, not even leaving ashes behind. Whoosh! The shock wave spread out and struck the gray-robed old man, causing him to vomit another mouthful of blood. However, he managed to escape the range of the Neptune's rages. "Damn brat! After we return, I'll get the beast governing sect to kill you." Xiaochen turned his head back to look. Heavy rain poured down on the raging sea as the waves undulated. A black pirate ship stood on the surging sea like a tyrant. Chi. However, just as the gray-robed old man thought that he had dodged a calamity, two sharp bird cries suddenly came from the front. When the gray-robed old man looked over, his complexion immediately paled in fright. It was the cold steel eagles, two overlords of the sea giving off a cold light. They treated the gray-robed old man as prey, firmly locking onto him. It turned out that Xiaochen had already anticipated that, given the gray-robed old man's speed, he would not die to the cannonballs. Hence, he got the cold steel eagles to intercept him in advance. Since Xiaochen shed all pretense of cordiality, he did not think of letting the gray-robed old man leave alive. What made the gray-robed old man despair was that these two cold steel eagles were even stronger than when they were in the beast's governing sect. They vaguely seemed to be reaching peak major primal core realm. For a moment, despair involuntarily filled the gray-robed old man's heart. He did not fear these two cold steel eagles, the overlords of the sea. However, the tortoise had suffered 3 rounds of cannon fire, and was already crippled. Even so, if the gray-robed old man had not been injured by the cannonballs, he would have been able to barely deal with the two cold steel eagles. However, there were no ifs in this world. The scene of Xiaochen being chased by the cold steel eagles appeared on the surface of the sea once more. However, this time the person being chased was someone else. The person being chased was the gray-robed old man from back then. Fate played tricks on people, a cycle of karma. Under the pursuit of the two cold steel eagles, the gray-robed old man was slowly forced back, slowly approaching the black cutlass, which gave him nightmarish memories. The wounds on his body slowly increased. After experiencing the relentless pursuit of the cold steel eagles, Xiaochen knew very well how terrible this feeling was. The cold steel eagles did not give one any time to catch one's breath or treat one's injuries. The cold steel eagles did not give one any time to catch one's breath or treat one's injuries. They just chased one relentlessly. If one dared to stop, one would die in the next moment. 1 hour later, the two cold steel eagles worked together to carry the gray-robed old man's battered body over. On the watchtower, the white-clad Xiaochen looked at the gray-robed old man, who was now a prisoner. Then he said softly, "We meet again." The gray-robed old man felt mentally fatigued. As he looked at Xiaochen, he coughed a few times and vomited a large mouthful of blood. The gray-robed old man felt extremely dissatisfied. He had never thought that he would appear before Xiaochen as a prisoner. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.